Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the Finger Guns Podcast. My name is Rossko. How are you doing? I'm doing very well. Thanks for asking. I'm joined by Miles Thompson.
Hello, once again, good sir.
Hello there. How are you, mate?
Hello there. Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. How are you doing?
Good. I convinced a friend of mine this week to play Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga.
Oh my god, did they love it?
They have never sat through all 9 films. They've only seen the prequels. And I've said,
What?
This is
I was
really...
just counting how long it would take for you guys to mention this game.
I mean, I'm surprised it took that long, to be honest. We even said hello first.
I said this is a really quick way to get caught up on all the films. So instead of watching the films, they're now playing the saga. So there we go.
And you get the best version of the sequel movies, which suck. So
Indeed. Cats!
Last Jedi was good.
Oh, unbelievable. Look at this.
I'm not doing it again. I'm not.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Last July was good. Thank you very much indeed, Greg, for that confirmation. I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm in the opposite position. Well, the thing is, people call every Star Wars thing prequels or sequels or the first ones and not the first ones. So I'm in a similar position to your friend where I've not seen the newer ones. I've only seen like the ones with Jar Jar Binks in and Anakin in. So I'm probably better off playing the game too. So
yeah, it's similar position. So these are the prequels that you've seen.
Okay.
So yeah.
It's weird, isn't it, when you say you've seen the prequels, but then you have then technically seen them in order.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that like people call them different
weird.
stuff because
it's weird,
like
isn't it?
in a different timeline, but they were made first. It's
Yeah.
So
you've started in the right. You started 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think that was like more of a parent's influence because I was so young at the time. They were like, "You will sit down and watch this video."
You will sit down and watch these films.
I mean, Phantom Menace did give us Duel of the Fates, though. So
it's true. And Miles talks about Duel of the Fates a lot.
Oh my god, honestly, it's just so good. It's like,
I do find myself occasionally just humming, going.
Yeah, it just comes into your mind, and you're like, oh, I just want it.
There's a lot of the heavy lifting in the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer, I found.
That's how good it is. It can make a trailer that's okay and turn it into something spectacular. Like the moment it started, everyone was like, "Cheers!" It's just so good.
And you've heard him already about 100 times. Greg Hicks
the Impatient.
Yes, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm obviously a lot better than I was last time I came on a podcast. I can breathe. I don't have the COVID anymore, which is great.
Excellent. Very good news. Is that your new sofa that you're sitting on right now?
It's amazing. I'm not moving my laptop to pan out, but yeah, we got our sofa after 9 weeks of ordering it. It's fucking huge. It's really, really big. Like, I took the measurement of the length of the sofa, which is just a bit bigger than my king size mattress, but it's really tall. Like the cushions are quite high. I don't think you can really gauge the height from here. And it's a corner sofa, but even like lying on the corner bit, my feet don't reach the end.
Wow.
We got it on, when DFS do their sale when it's like, oh, it's half price. I reckon it's not. I reckon it's the price they sell them for, but they do like an insane markup to reduce them. Yeah,
are they ever not doing a sale?
Well, it's always, isn't it? It's always like, oh, it was originally £1,600, now it's £700. It's like, you mean it's a £700 sofa?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, we got it on 2 years interest free, so £16 a month each.
Nice. And it's comfortable. Everything very happy.
Oh, it's great, and it's just nice that like. For anyone that has seen on Twitter, you've seen my setup where I'm sat on my PC chair. And PC chairs are great for sitting at a desk. But when you're trying to play a game and you're sort of trying to relax back, it doesn't work. Yeah, so it's nice to be able to watch films on my TV again.
Yeah. Good stuff. I'm very happy for you, mate. You're fine. It's all coming together at last. Good times. Right, let's kick off as ever with our game of the week. Miles Thompson, your game of the week.
You always tend to pick me on the weeks when I have a game I don't like.
I was going to pick you anyway because you're actually on the pod.
That's true. Actually, yeah.
You're always going to.
We've had this before. It doesn't have to be a good game though. Like you could just it could be a warning of the game of the week. Like you've been playing this because it's as a warning to people.
Yeah, I feel like I've had a few of those, and this is another one. It's a nightmare. It sucks. I really didn't like it at all. So it's like adventure, like horror type game. It's kind of like a top down, but not in like a traditional sense. Like the camera is just awful in general, but it's like weirdly zoomed in, but also not. And it's one of those really fixed cameras. You can't rotate it, you can't make it move left or right or anything. And you play as this kid called Bill, and the cutscene shows him go to sleep, and then he opens his eyes, and there's this big, scary Lady Dimitrescu like looking lady coming at him, and then she disappears, and you wake up, and then you start the game. So that's all the insight you get. The story is actually kind of dark. So like as you go through the levels, they're like parts, there'll be like an office or like his room or like a house or a forest or school or whatever. So it's all like tied into like his life and his backstory. And he's been going through like these nightmarish versions of each one. You find like objects that tie back to his past that kind of explain why he's having all these horrifically traumatic nightmares. And it gets into some really deep stuff, like there's neglect, like abuse, abandonment, all sorts of bits, but it's not like told to you. There's no dialogue, there's no kind of like cutscene exposition. It's all just through notes and story dialogue. In the review I mentioned it, that the problem with it is that every note that you read has some kind of typo or sentence structure fail or grammatical flop, which just makes it really hard. Like at one point Bill's written a note and he's talking about like the school teacher at school's like not being very nice to him, and then like this kid's like a few years old maximum, he's not a very old kid. He starts talking about why is she like manipulating me, and I was like, he's a fucking kid, how would he know that his teacher's manipulating him? That's the whole point of why he's like weirded out by it. So the story is not exactly particularly well told in that way. The gameplay is also suitably not very good either. It's very like clunky, like if you try and jump like before a certain point, then it just doesn't trigger, so you just fall off the end. It's everything just sucks. Like you're meant to stealth around the enemies, but it's quicker to just run past them because they can't keep up with you, so you can just sprint past. You get like these little things called dream orbs that stun them, so if they catch up to you, just throw one down, they get stunned, and then you just run on. All the puzzles are like really rudimentary, where it's more just about like running around and moving stuff than actually doing any puzzle solving. And I just got to like chapter 4 out of 6. I was like, I just don't want to play any more of this. It's just not any fun to play. And yeah, it's one of those games that like it's got some cool ideas in it, but it just doesn't do any of them at all, like not even functionally well. It's just not very good to play at all. And yeah, I kind of made myself play as much of it as I could, and then I got to one particular puzzle where every time you screw up, it resets you at the start. And the game does it throughout, of like, if you die at any point, you go back to before a little cutscene. You have to watch the cutscene, do all the progress you already did, and then get to the same point. If you fuck up again, it sends you. It sent me back about 4 times. I was like, I just don't want to do this anymore. So it was just awful. So yeah, the full write-up's on the website, but I just don't recommend it. It's not a good game to play.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, it was pretty nightmarish, I've got to say.
That's why it's Finger Guns, you see. Oh dear, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
You sounded really pissed off when you were describing it.
Oh, honestly, like playing it, I was so irrationally angry at it. I was like, I know it's trying, but just try harder, just be better. And it just wasn't. And every time I tried to think, okay, maybe the next bit's better. No, it just got worse. Like it just is bad. And I just, even describing it makes me angry at it.
Okay, we'll move on. It's all right.
Please, thanks.
Kat, your game of the week.
First of all, that sounds shit. Glad I didn't take that up. Like I was genuinely like looking around. I was getting bored of your description of the game, and then I had to remember that I had to listen. So I don't know what a reflection of that's on you or the game. I'm not sure. I'm kidding. So my game of the week I can't talk about, but I do have a game gripe of the week, and I thought I'd talk about that instead. You know. Because why not? Otherwise, I'm just going to be sat here with no game of the week. So my game gripe of the week are games that decide it's really fucking cool to, as you can tell, I'm really annoyed at this, to not have a chapter select or a place to restart where you have explored. So and for context, I was on my way to platinuming Lost in Random, and I had followed this because it said like you have to follow this guide meticulously, blah blah blah. And I followed this guide meticulously for about 17 hours, right? Now,
what just happened? What just happened? I'm so glad we got that on video, but what just happened?
That was a wasp, wasn't it? That was 100% a wasp.
fucking bee I've ever seen in my life. It doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, I've got like an irrational fear to bees and wasps, but like that was just, it just felt like it was. Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah. Ooh, that was awful. If that had come in the room, I'd have actually lost my shit and you'd have recorded that forever and probably just like replayed it in slow-mo for everyone to see. Anyway, yeah, so playing Lost in Random for about 17 hours, I literally followed this guide meticulously, like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the status quo is that each world you can always explore, but just don't do the last mission because you won't be able to move on. Fine, I can do that. And that's exactly the kind of formula it followed, is that it was pretty kind of, you know, you can explore, you can go back, you can go forward, blah, 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 blah. So I did that for 4 worlds. Then I got to the 5th world and it was like a mountain and it kind of like circled up like a little mountainy volcano thing. And it didn't say anywhere in this guide, be careful about world 5 because for some fucking reason we've decided to change our bloody tune and you can't go back. But you still need to complete the amount of side missions. There's no manual save, there's no nothing. So after 17 hours, I decided to explore a little more because, of course, why the fuck not? Only to have a wall close up on me and I completely soft locked myself out of the whole platinum. There's no chapter select, there's no restarting the whole mission, there's no restarting your whole checkpoint. You would have to do the game all over again. So fuck you, Lost in Random. That's my game gripe of the week. I couldn't believe it. I tried everything. I was like, maybe if I just try and reload my save. Maybe if I nope, because it auto-saved. As soon as that little wall came up behind me, because apparently I'm going up the mountain, not down, even though there's like 5 side quests. Not anywhere, no guide, no nothing said, don't do this in World 5. So thank you for that. So when you look at my PSMP or whatever you want to do, if you do look at people's trophies, if you've got me on PlayStation, and you see, you know, like Lost in Random has like 92%, don't worry, I'm fucking well aware. I'm just not doing that game again. I was so angry. And then I just didn't care about the rest of the trophies. I was like, no, I'm not even making an effort to do it now. So it's a good game, but if you like to collect trophies for no other reason than it looks pretty digitally and the numbers all equal 100 because there's literally no point in collecting trophies other than for your own, you know, challenge, then yeah, play it. But if you want to collect it, then just watch out for World 5.
All right, keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to hear that. That sounds rough.
It is. I know for someone who collects trophies, that's like the most ungive-a-shitable offense for games ever. But like, but yeah, that fucking sucked.
That does suck, man. That's rough. Whew. Well, there you go. Lost in Random.
If you're listening and you're making a game, make a chapter select. Just make a fucking chapter select. Like,
just make it
it's not
select.
fucking hard. Just
not
don't auto-save.
Not fucking hard.
No.
It's really easy, apparently. Call into cat. It's really easy to do that.
Fucking do that. That'd be great.
Gregory, good sir, your game of the week.
I've been playing Hitman, the 2016 version.
Okay.
I got Toby's copy of Hitman 3 and then because I had Hitman 2, the Gold Edition, or actually Deluxe Edition, Gold Edition, one of the two. I could play the content from that. And then at the last PlayStation sale, they were doing the same thing with Hitman 1's. Hitman 1's content. So you just completely derailed me there. You're also a mute, Ross.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah, something was digging into my back. It turns out it was Sonic's nose.
Spine.
So, yeah. Do continue.
No, just short and sweet. Just been playing through that again. I finished Hitman 3's story. I think I must have not finished Hitman 1 and 2's final missions back when I've had them in previous states and consoles, and now I'm just going through them again. There is so much in those games, and I'd love to have the time to explore like I used to do with like Blood Money and contracts and that kind of stuff. I have been doing the mission stories, which make life easier, but then it's just nice to go back, and they don't always give you everything. Like the mission stories for the uninitiated are like the hand-holding bits of Hitman. Like you'll overhear someone say this and it'll be like, oh, he's allergic to, I don't know, a certain type of He has his target has a particular drink he likes, and it's like, he's going to drink from this thing, so you get some emetic poison, and you poison them, and he either lethally dies, or you make him go and shit himself, so you strangle him on the toilet, that kind of stuff. So they're the hand-holding missions, which are fine if you just want to see the story, and then obviously you can go back and learn the mastery of the levels and do more challenges and all that kind of jazz. So I'm kind of like half and half. I'll do some of the mission stories, I'll go off exploring, constant save states and reloading and stuff like that. And then if I get spotted, my brother and I were fanning about last night, got spotted, so I was running around with a hatchet, and it sounds quite sociopathic to say it on here, but when you throw things in Hitman, obviously if it's lethal, you'll get even if it's not lethal, you get like a headshot target type thing. But if they're running, and this is where the infamous homing suitcase came from, so if people are running and they run around a corner, whatever you're throwing will follow them. So you think physics would dictate that you throw it and they move and it misses, and you go, oh damn. As long as you've got a lock on and you've done the animation of throwing something, if they run, so just watching this hatchet just go around corners and hit people was satisfying until I got shot and then reloaded and tried doing it properly. But yeah, no, that's it really. Just if you haven't played the Hitman 2016 reboot, as it were, I know it got a lot of flack for being episodic, but if you've got a chance to get the whole collection, or like I've done, and piecemeal it and that kind of stuff, it's really good, and it's a good story as well. And yeah, that's been my sort of my dabble in between getting better and worse at Elden Ring, all that kind of jazz.
Yeah, I've always heard good things about the new Hitman trilogy. So,
well, I mean, after the shittiness of Absolution, Absolution wasn't shit. I played a lot of it, but it was very deviant from the normal formula. Like Blood Money was great, and then they went, "Oh, let's do something else," and Absolution was just a bit shit. So it was
just that none level that killed it, wasn't it?
It was a lot. It was very linear. Like Hitman is known for having big, expansive levels and choose your own options and stuff like that. And barring the last mission of Hitman 3 on this one, which I won't spoil, these ones have gone back to it. But yeah, Hitman Absolution was just follow the breadcrumb trail. Like, here are your 3 targets. Here is one, and then you move to the next bit, and here's the other one. It's not like the old ones where you could take them in any approach, and this new one allows you to do that. So yeah, it's a return to form, and obviously having it on PS5 and having the upgraded content from like the PS4 version and Xbox One version of Hitman 1 and 2 upgraded for PS5 is just
that's a really cool thing about Hitman 3, isn't it? You can replay the originals in
I don't know how it is, like, because I don't know if it's cloud or if it's because it's not downloaded the Hitman 1 and 2 games, because that'll be a massive file, but I don't know what wizardry it is, if it's just streaming it, but it works for me.
Cool. Nice one.
And you? What is your game of the week?
Well, after last week or the week before of me shitting all over Apple Arcade, I found a game on Apple Arcade. And I was like, God damn, this game's awesome. It wasn't Hello Games one. I haven't started that yet, so I really should. But it was a game called Lego Builder's Journey. It's a game that's currently on PSN, and Xbox just came out on consoles. And it's just a really lovely puzzler. If you can imagine something like Monument Valley, where you're kind of navigating yourself across these really beautiful landscapes, it's a Lego version of Monument Valley, essentially.
Okay.
And it's just a really sweet game. It's a lovely game to play on an iPad, because like you got that big touch screen, and it navigates itself really nicely with kind of like touch controls.
And that's soothing soundtrack.
Very much so, yeah.
It's very ASMR-y, isn't it? It's like yeah.
It's really,
I was
really
watching
nice.
someone share play. It was really cool.
Yeah, it's just a lovely little game. I've been really at work mostly this week, so that's pretty much what I've been playing. Primarily is a little bit of Lego Builder's Journey. It's been perfectly lovely to but the rest of Apple Arcade is shit, so don't subscribe. All right then, it's quiz time. K-Dog, are you ready?
Always ready. Are you guys ready?
No.
I can go. I'm ready to get trounced. But I'm still really high on a cloud from last week's demolition. Should we call it a demolition?
You can call it a demolition.
Okay. Call it whatever you want. You've earned it.
You want.
So this week's theme is just news, because I couldn't think of a theme, and the theme that I wanted to do would have taken a really, 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 really long time. So I'm not good at that. So it was just news based. So if you've been reading the news, then you'll probably do well. If you've not been reading the news, then probably gonna suck. No, I'm kidding. You probably won't do so well. But it's also maybe slightly movie themed as well. There's sort of movie-esque questions in here. just because there's been a lot of movie game news. But yeah, so would you like to tell me your buzzers, Greg?
Oh God!
Kick off. Whilst...
Ouch!
Okay.
Oh, hello.
Miles?
Who knows what that's from?
Just peachy!
All right. What's Miles's from? What's mine from?
Go on.
No, I don't know. I can't recognize. I can recognize it, but I don't know what it is. Go on.
I'll play it again, see if you get it.
Just peachy!
It's not Bulletstorm. No, it's not Bulletstorm.
You've all played it. Ross, you've played this recently.
GTA.
Yeah.
Is it Trevor?
Trevor.
Is it?
That's
Yeah.
Trevor.
Yeah.
Oh, you can hear it now. Like now
Yeah,
you said
yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What's mine
Good
though?
old Stephen Ogg.
What was yours again?
Ouch!
Oh.
It's gonna
It sounds
annoy
like Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
It's like something out of Heavy Rain.
you. Nah.
Ouch! Ouch!
Hang on. If I do the
Sean!
Be careful.
Oh, is it Resident
It
Evil?
was
I was just about to say, is it Resident
Snake.
Evil?
And also poisonous. Ugh.
Is it 2?
no, it's the original one.
It's the original,
Oh,
isn't
it?
Who's the one who?
Ouch!
Who's the one who dies? It's the one who dies, isn't it?
It's Richard. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Ross, which Sonic orgasm do you have for me this week?
Just a classic.
Okay.
The
Bit
standard.
quiet. Hang on.
Amy.
Richard's got a better orgasm.
Oh my god! I don't do this in my life.
Oh my god.
What website is this on?
Just realmofdarkness.net. It's the
gonna be
it's where,
like-
it's where I got my soundboards from.
Yeah,
Only
me too.
game.
Where I get mine from? I don't give
Yeah.
you orgasm.
Yeah, just literally just went Resident Evil. Oh, it's under as but the other one is ouch.
That makes sense.
Oh shit, Miles! I've just noticed. You know, I said that I had a T-shirt with the Render the Sith speech on it.
Yes. Oh my god, you're wearing it, aren't you?
Yeah, with the chosen one.
That's so
It's
good.
the initials of the entire thing.
That's so good.
Sorry, I've just.
You were
noticed.
my brother Anakin.
I loved you.
Yeah, it's all there. It's all there. Right, sorry.
Fab. Cool. Are we ready?
Just had to go, Miles, look.
What a detail. I love it.
Look at
I
my
love it.
clothes. Right, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fabulicious. So for anybody who's listening for the first time, I'm going to read out the question. Someone's going to buzz in. They're going to get the question. If they get the question wrong, they get frozen out. Feel free to play along at home. So question 1. Which actor is picked to produce the game to film adaptation for it to...
Amy.
Ross.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
For fuck's
Yes.
sake.
And he's apparently going to reportedly star in it too, but I can't imagine him being the geeky dad. So
No, that's gonna be a bit odd.
yeah.
Maybe he'll be the love book guy.
Oh, maybe he'll be the voice for it.
A
Yeah, I
bit
can
too
actually
close to
see that.
Jumanji. A bit too close to Jumanji.
Do you
The
reckon?
Rock. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Question 2. What sequel was announced this week by Gearbox?
Just Amy. Peachy.
Ross.
Tales from the Borderlands 2.
Yes, well done. Question 3. What is now the official title of the Dungeons and Dragons movie? That was released this week, the official title. I can give you a hint.
Ouch.
Oh, Greg?
Dungeons and Dragons 2, Suck It Nerds, we're making a second one.
No. Suck it,
I was going to
nerds.
think of a funny name for it, but I don't think I can match that now.
But the first film was shit.
I have no idea. I don't
Nope.
know.
Nothing.
No. Any kind of guess? You want me to give you a hint?
Nope.
You don't want me to give you a hint? All right.
Dungeons and Dragons, Dragons and Dungeons.
No, it was called Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I prefer Suck It, Nerds, to be fair.
Yeah, I think Greg's was better.
Yeah. Question 4. From the creator of John Wick, which movie is coming in the next couple of years?
Amy.
Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
Greg, I feel like our
Lot of eating
our
chicken. and
attendance
stuff
here is a little bit unneeded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, my job has me driving a van all day and I haven't got time to read the news.
Okay, in the last month, what game company was sued by a professional choreographer for using his dance moves in their game?
Ouch. Amy.
It's got to be Epic Games, surely.
I'm sorry, who got there first?
Sorry.
Greg,
I'm going to say Epic Games.
you are correct.
Yes.
Is it from Fortnite?
Yeah.
Donald Faison and Alfonso Ribeiro have both tried suing, haven't they?
Yeah, 2 suits in the past, and this is the third one.
Oh my god.
So they're not shy about it. They're not shy about just outright. And the backpack kid. Apparently they tried to sue for that one as well. So question 6. A fan recently made a Game Boy version demake of a which game?
Amy.
Ross.
Elden Ring.
Yes, you are correct.
Don't sound so disappointed.
No, yeah, you're correct. You got it.
Yeah,
Good
now you know how I feel when I used to have my winning streak. Oh, Greg's got the cancer right again.
Question 7. No, I'm so happy for you. I'm happy for all of you. To the
Why are you happy for me? I haven't got one yet.
no, I'm happy for you. I'm happy
Oh,
for
okay.
Greg and
Yeah,
Ross.
fuck
No, I'm
me.
kidding. Okay, question 7. To the nearest million, how many copies did the Star Wars saga launch, breaking its own record?
Amy.
Ross, give someone else a go.
No.
I'm kidding.
I don't know
Ross.
the answer.
3.2 million.
You even got it to the nearest.
It's almost like he's biased because he likes the game.
Yeah.
It's almost like I read the news start of the week to keep up on, for podcast topics. I don't know.
It's true. It's true. Okay, no more news ones after this then. Okay.
You had a week. You had a week to come up with the quiz.
Do you want to come on the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just won't be on the podcast, so you know.
Yeah, you can send it in and it just
Yeah,
not
exactly.
turn up.
Which game will Nope. Question 8. The MetaQuest 2 VR has announced which game will be coming to their console.
Ouch.
Greg.
Was it fucking Skyrim?
No.
Okay.
That's a good guess though.
It is a good rest, yeah. Anyone else?
Oh,
Just Amy.
Else?
let's say Resident Evil 4.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
No, it's already been VR,
It's
doesn't it?
already on there.
Yeah, I don't know if it was on the Quest though.
Among Us?
No. The answer is Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Question 9. Which game will actress Jamie Lee Curtis cosplay to officiate her daughter's wedding? This is random shit, man. Like,
Well, I know, cause, no, she likes doing cosplay, doesn't she? Because she goes to like big expos and stuff. Because she went as Vega to Comic-Con.
Yeah, she's a
Vega.
big gamey.
Yeah,
That's cool.
obviously the mask thing was, the reason why.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
Was it what game is she cosplaying?
Yes.
What character or game?
Game.
Ouch.
Greg?
Tomb Raider.
No.
Just Amy. Peachy.
Ross?
Tetris.
Yes, she's being a Tetris brick.
Yes, I knew it.
It's
She's not.
Tetromino.
It's Tetra.
Miles?
Resident Evil.
No. World of Warcraft. But well done, guys.
Uh,
And last question. Which console had just had its best sales performance in March for 11 years?
Ouch. Amy.
Greg?
Was it the PlayStation 2?
No.
I actually know this one, but Ross has already buzzed.
I don't know.
Xbox Series
Yeah, go on then.
X.
Yeah. Cool, Ross. No surprise to you. Well done. You win.
Hey.
Look at that face. And that.
That was just such a weird quick. Like, no, I'm not disparaging it. I'm just like news. Shit, I don't read. I read news like when it's
I
like
even
3
read
days
the
late.
news. I just couldn't buzz quick enough. All the ones I knew, Ross was already there before I'd even
No.
realised.
I didn't have a theme and I couldn't. I just, yeah. Just stuff, really. I've been away all weekend, so I was like, I need to do all the news because I don't have anything else. So, yeah.
Congrats,
that's it.
Ross. Your short-term memory is on point.
Thank you. For what exactly?
For winning the quiz.
I got it.
Thanks, Greg. Right then, thank you very much, Cats. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Let's get into the news. We're going to do this very quickly because we've got a big topic to get to. But literally, Miles and I were recording the Skywalker Saga podcast, and not 20 minutes later, this news was announced, and we got very giddy afterwards. Gearbox has announced that it's working on a new Tales from the Borderlands game, Released in 2014 and developed by Telltale Games, the original Tales from the Borderlands is a 5-part episodic game set on Pandora between the events of Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3. Gearbox is developing the all-new Tales from the Borderlands adventure, which will be published by 2K later this year. The studio said more details will be shared about the game this summer. That's all we have so far, but it will be an all-new story with all new characters, but it will be still set in Pandora. As someone who got just as giddy about this as I did, Miles, how are we feeling about this?
I can't fucking wait. I loved Tales of the Borderlands. It's interesting you said about new characters, because I was wondering how they were going to bring Troy Baker back in to reprise his role as Reese after their massive falling out about it. So, yeah, obviously they're
just going to use him as a AI NFT.
Yeah, they're going to buy his NFT to get around it. Yeah. So yeah, obviously they've just dealt with that by just not having any of the characters return, which I actually think is a shame, because the way that story ends, there was definitely scope for a lot more potential with, and I really like that cast. So I guess the only question mark I'd have is, like, without those characters, are they going to be able to make, you know, as memorable a story and a bunch of people to follow? Because like the Finger Guns section that you do with when you're disguised as that dude and you go into that room and everyone's like doing the finger gun scene, it's just awesome. And the whole,
in fact, that's where we got our name from.
Oh, what, from that scene?
From that exact scene. Yeah,
that is dope. And that scene is fucking awesome. But the whole like series, like every episode had like a memorable moment, and like there's one of the soundtracks, I think it's from the end of episode 2, is just unbelievably good. And yeah, considering I don't like the regular Borderlands games, Tales of the Borderlands blew me away. So yeah, super excited for this one.
There's 2 really good songs there. There's Jungle, isn't there?
Yeah.
Is that a bit too busy earning? And then the other one, the To the Top.
I like the one.
The one when Thingy sacrifices himself.
No,
to the top. That one.
I think the one that I liked was like, it's the end of like episode 2 and you have to make the choice of like whether to blow up the thing or keep it or something like that, and it's called like the Galatrium or something like that, but it's just a really good piece of like ambient music. It's class.
Because that Jungle song came on something recently and it made me think of Tales of the Borderlands. That
yeah,
just like, oh, I know this one.
It brings back like a part of your memory, just gets
exactly,
it?
That music association kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it is interesting is that Telltale obviously have nothing to do with this. It's all going to be completely gearboxed. Greg, how are you feeling about it?
I was a late adapter to Tales of the Borderlands. Was it on Plus? Is that?
I think so.
I paid it for free.
Yeah,
I want to say so. Yes, possibly. Yeah.
I've got all the trophies, so it must have been a Plus game.
Mm.
I loved it. I mean, I know you two went. Sorry, strangled myself then. I know, like, obviously, Ross went mad for it, and I lost interest in Borderlands a very long time ago. I finished 2 and just went more loot shooter boredom, really. So I wasn't really that interested in Telltale games. I haven't really played one through probably since Tales from the Borderlands. I did the first Batman. That was probably about it. So I wasn't as excited as you two, but I will probably get around to playing it because the first one did have some absolutely banging moments in it, and I thought it was hilarious. I haven't played it through to do different choices. I just couldn't be asked. Like when I got that platinum, I was just like, I can't be bothered to see the other fragmental choices, even though it all concludes to the same path. But it did have some absolutely hilarious. I think my favorite one, and I clipped it as well, was the bit with what's his name? Reese and Sasha.
Oh, is it the bit where she's
hanging on and she's like, you choose the choice. He's like, I won't let you go. I won't let you go. And it's like, Sasha will remember this. And she's like, goodbye, Reese. And he's like, no. Wow, we are really close to the ground. And that bit just had me in fucking. It's just the deadpan. The deadpan delivery from Troy Baker. Just that, no, we are really close to the ground, aren't we? Just great. As much as he's been a bit of a bell end in recent months, Troy Baker can deliver some deadpan lines. But yeah, I will probably get around to playing it after you two have talked massively at length about it, and I will not listen to either of you spoiling it. So yeah.
Oh yeah, we are going to do that hard.
The day you do a cast about it, I'm not going to be here, but
we're going to spoil everything.
Like normal, really.
Yeah, pretty much. Nothing's really changed in that regard.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I probably will. It's not going to be day one for me, but yeah, I'll probably get around to playing it at some point, maybe, if it's not shit and done by Gearbox, so it will be shit.
Oh damn! Don't say that.
What is Gearbox's track record at the moment?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, they made Aliens Colonial Marines. What are you talking about? Great game.
Oh yeah, what that bit with that one line of code that was wrong. No, but apparently they didn't make it because they were shifting blame onto the one they bought it from.
Oh yeah, they did, didn't they? I can't remember who it was.
Yeah,
they had that line of code that completely fucked the entire
just,
AI.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, they took it on and were like, "Oh, it's going to be great," and they released it and it was shit. And then they were like, "Oh no, we didn't actually we just published it." It's like, no, you didn't. That's another story.
Indeed. Kat, have you played Tales?
No, it's I think it's one of the only Telltales that I haven't played, but I have heard a lot about it. Everyone always says, even if you don't like Borderlands, you should play Tales of the Borderlands because it's pretty rad. So it is on the list. If the second one's amazing, I'll probably find some time for the first one. Other than that, I think
just a joyous 5 and a bit hours. It's really, really fun.
I have heard it's very, very good, regardless of your opinion of Borderlands. So yeah, I'll give it a shot. I think that and the Game of Thrones is like the only Telltale that I haven't played. So I do need to get around to it because it is like rated the best one.
Yeah.
So
God, I fell miserably on Game of Thrones. I got some bad endings on Game of Thrones.
I think the whole thing was just a bad ending, to be honest.
Maybe it was, yeah, I don't know. But I mean, all of my characters died. I don't think they were. I could have saved some of them, I think, but all of my characters died. But yeah, I mean, Tales is so good, and
that is just Game of Thrones.
Yeah, true. Yeah, what I loved about Tales so much, really more than anything, was Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson kind of being together again, but being completely different characters. Like Ashley Johnson was this joyous, happy little robot called Gordy's, and having them interact was like, it's really weird because it's Joel and Ellie, but it's not. And it was just a fun time. And Ashley Johnson was just on fire that entire game. And everyone was actually. Even Handsome Jack was fantastic in that game as well.
Do you know what I can't disassociate with? Is that Ashley Johnson is Gretchen from Recess.
Yeah.
Fuck. What?
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, it's reals. So when she talks to that nasally kind of thing, yeah, it's just weird.
What the fuck? How did I never know?
Miles' head's just exploded.
You actually just... I watched Recess so much as a kid, and I never ever would have considered that. Now my head is dying a little bit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
There you go. Voice actors, man. Voice actors, man. They're just on another planet.
It's almost like they have range.
Yeah. Right then, let's move on to our second piece of news, which is Syphon Filter. Something that I didn't think we'd be talking about ever again. But 4 classic Syphon Filter games have been rated for PS4 and PS5. I should stress I'm reading all of these news off VGC. As spotted on Gamatsu, they are Syphon Filter, Syphon Filter 2, Syphon Filter Dark Mirror, and Syphon Filter Logan's Shadow. Developed by Sony's Bend Studio, which of course now make Days Gone, etc. The first entry in the third-person shooter stealth series was released for PS1 in 1999. Its sequel arrived the following year for the same console. Bend also developed Syphon Filter's Dark Mirror and Logan's Shadow for PSP, with both titles later releasing for PS2 too. It's expected that these will be included in Sony's expanded PS Plus service, which is launching in June. So if you do get the PS Plus Premium, I think it is, you'll have access to the Syphon Filter games. So yeah, good times. Greg, I don't think I've talked to you about this yet. How do you feel about the new PS Plus tiers?
I'm still getting my head around them. I've had the email today about what the new tiers are going to be and how because I pay monthly. I know I shouldn't pay monthly because it costs more, but I think just a while back, budgetary constraints have me paying monthly, and I am for the foreseeable. Yeah, I don't know yet. I need to actually sit and think about like costing and stuff, and because it sounds like a good idea to have this massive back catalogue, but then am I ever going to play them?
Yeah, it's a good point.
But yeah, obviously, like Syphon Filter, you just got. I'm looking at my copies of Syphon Filter 1 and 2 over there. Actually, like, ooh, it's quite funny that like because obviously 3 wasn't made by 989, and it wasn't very good. 1 and 2 are amazing. I never played Dark Mirror in the other one because they were on PSP, which I didn't have one at the time, and then by then I'd moved on from PS2. But 1 and 2 are just fantastic. It was great, and it was always like, oh, it's trying to be a Metal Gear Solid beta. It's not. It's just a different game. Like it's a different kind of game. And like it has some genius boss battles in it. The final boss of the second one is great because he's wearing full body armor, and you can't do any damage to him. A bit like the one in Sekiro. There's a boss in that you can't do damage to. You got to push him off of a bridge. And everyone's going, oh, it's genius and it's inventive. And I'm thinking, Syphon Filter 2 did it first because you've got to direct this guy into the blades of a helicopter. It's weird that you can't do bullet damage to him, but you can put him into the blades of a helicopter. Don't think about it too hard. But I was just like, I remember I didn't know what the fuck to do. This is before the days of just picking your phone up and going, oh yeah, I'll just Google it. Like, just fucking ages. I think just did it by chance. And his name is actually Chase. But I was just like, oh, is that how you do it? I've been doing this for 2 fucking hours. You know, but obviously I was a kid and my balls hadn't dropped, so that came out a lot higher. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing them again. Well, they are hard games. I'm looking forward to starting the first mission of each one and going, this is bullshit. I can't do this anymore. But yeah, it's good news.
Yeah, I've not played them, so
I hope it paves the way for a new one. Like, because obviously, like 989 became Bend, and there's that. I'm going to spoil Days Gone. So if anybody hasn't played Days Gone yet, put your fingers in your ears. There's obviously the late game twist where one of the characters that you meet at the start of the game. Yeah, obviously. I'll tell you. I'll wave when I'm done. There's a character you meet early in the game, and then you meet him later on at like the epilogue where he's slightly mutated into like one of the zombie type things. And it's heavily rumored that the virus that causes the outbreak in Days Gone is something that Gabe Logan has failed to contain in a Syphon Filter game.
Oh,
yeah, that's where it comes from.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's some paperwork around there that says it might. I don't know if it's actually the Syphon Filter virus or it's a mutation. Yeah, and that's the link from Bend to 989 because obviously they made Syphon Filter. So because of that bombshell in there, people then were like, "Bring back Syphon Filter, bring back Syphon Filter," and they can't. They obviously they have in a way. So I'm wondering if this is just to test the waters to see if that nostalgia is still there for people that play the original or have played the originals, for Ben to go, all right, let's make a new Syphon Filter game. Yeah. Because they, like Days Gone, I know it reviewed a bit middling and it did actually make money back on it. So hopefully they'll not bother with Days Gone 2 because it's not going to get a sequel because it wasn't sequel. Like, it was boring come the end, but like I'm hoping that this will spark the interest. People will play the nostalgic version or at least download them for metrics on Sony's end to go, wow, like it's been streamed or downloaded like 2 million times or whatever, or collectively they all have, that it generates interest to make a new Syphon Filter because that would be cool. Don't mess around with the formula, like don't make them open world, but don't make them just make it like Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, hub like missions, bit of multi approach, that kind of jazz. It'd be great.
Yeah, that would be cool. I know my good friend Chris, I was like, hey man, Syphon Filter is coming to the new PS Plus. He was like, I want it remastered. I was like, okay, well, you're never going to be happy, are you? I don't. Yeah.
Then you got having your cake and eating it. Like
you couldn't remaster Syphon Filter because it's so janky. Like it plays awkwardly. Like it was tank style controls because it was PS1. It was third person. So obviously forward is forward. It's all D-pad. Forward, right, tanking around. There was no dual analog, so you couldn't remaster it without having to remake it. It wouldn't work. You could fat around the visuals.
You should probably wave, by the way.
Oh, Kat, you can come back now. Miles, go and throw something at her. She just knocks on the wall.
Yeah, it works a treat.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, the end of Days Gone when it's all aliens, it's great. No, you couldn't remaster Syphon Filter because it would just be the same dodgy controls, but with a glossy vignette. It would be polishing a turd, to put it politely. You either have to release it as they're doing now, and people go, "Oh, nostalgia, let's make a new one." You couldn't rehash or redress the old ones because it wouldn't work. Maybe the PS2 one, but then we've seen what happens when you put Resident Evil 4 in HD.
Yeah.
When you like Silent Hill 2, for example, like just remastering an old PlayStation game is not always a good idea because the whole point of Silent Hill 2 was the fog, and then when they did that with the HD one and went, "Oh look, we made it graphically impressive," and put in draw distance, and everyone went, "Why?" It just shows the cracks, So anyway, that's my 2 cents on Silent Hill. I'm looking forward to them coming back. Whether I'll play them or not, I don't know, because I could readily play 1 and 2 now if I sent my PS3 up to the TV. But it's obviously something I haven't done since I moved into this place. So
yeah. But if you had them downloaded,
by the way, I realize I keep doing that. I'm not scratching my ass.
okay.
I know it looks like I am, but I've realized I'm doing it several times. I've just got an itch on my lower back, but it looks like I'm full on rummaging for coins, and I'm not.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for. I wasn't thinking it once.
No, but I'm sure someone's going to be like, "Why is Rick scratching his ass a lot?"
Yeah, I mean, I suppose to have them just on your PS5 dashboard to play sort of whenever you want is going to be the appeal of this.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I certainly want to try them out because obviously I didn't have a PlayStation back in the day.
Oh yeah, don't let me put you off playing the originals.
No. It's definitely something I want to jump into. Kat, have you got any history with Syphon Filter?
No.
Okay. This news section is going really well.
Yeah.
No, you didn't put these in the quiz.
Yeah. So yeah. I looked it up. It looks like a PlayStation 1 game. Just, cool. Like I'm sure the people who love it, like that's the kind of thing. As I think, like Greg was saying, is it's great that they've come back. But will people play them is another story. But people are probably playing them for nostalgia, not because they think it's a really interesting looking game.
Yeah,
not to like dunk on that, but like, yeah, that's all I gotta say about that.
But yeah, there's going to be people that are playing like I can play that again finally and go
exactly.
Oh wow, this isn't as good as I remember.
And that's the thing, isn't it? A lot of people say like, don't forget that when you play old games, the image in your head is not the image that is actually real when you've played old games, and so actually it's just going to be like a bit of a stab in the back for everybody who loved that game.
Yeah,
you realize it's a clunky piece of shit.
We've moved on a fair bit since 1999, so. Yeah. But hey, it's cool that they're going to be there, I guess. For those who want to play it, for sure. Miles, you want to finish this off? Bit of Syphon Filter goodness.
Not much more to add, to be honest. It was always of the mold of the Metal Gears and Splinter Cells and Thief and that kind of thing. And I think with all those series kind of on ice at the moment, I think it's a good opportunity to kind of gauge if there's still that, desire for them. We've all been wanting Splinter Cell for years and we're never probably going to get it from Ubisoft. So
there is a Splinter Cell remake coming out.
Hopefully. But you never know. They might cancel it just out of spite, just to get our hopes up and ruin our lives. So yeah, I think, gauging interest, if people play it, wants more of it, you never know, maybe it can fill that kind of gap that's been left from the other series that aren't coming out much. So yeah, I think it's a nice starting point. It's nostalgic for people and it's kind of showing what Sony are going to do with the backwards compatibility log. So yeah, I think it's a decent start, but I'm not too fussed myself, probably won't play them, but I think it's nice that they're there.
Okay,
just have them downloaded on your console so we can show people that.
yeah, we can take a picture and put it on social media.
They're not going to be very big files, are they? PS1
like 1 gigabyte each, not even.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'm glad I brought this topic to the table today. I was like, yeah, we'll see. I know there are mega fans out there of Syphon Filter, so all power to you for when they arrive. Right, let's get into our main topic. I threw up. I threw up into Slack. So I threw up, right?
Before I came on to record tonight, I just,
that was my main topic. Our main topic is that Rossko threw up.
It was really weird in the Slack when you put up the topic, and I was like, throwing up. What are we going to talk about, man?
Yeah.
You want some therapy? You're gonna.
So your top 10 throw ups. This is basically what I need to know.
Top 10 vomits of the century. Go.
Yeah.
No, I was feeling rather like, hey, let's talk about our favorite games. Let's talk about things that we actually love and things that we enjoy. And I was like, right, top 10 games of all time. And I threw it out. And I think I was clear, but maybe I wasn't. But it was our favorite games of all time, not what we think are, paradoxically the greatest games of all time. So we're going to go one by one. So 10, 10, 10, 10, 9, 9, 9, 9, 8, 8, 8, 8, 7, 7, 7, 7, etc., etc., etc. This might take a while, but we're going to do it as quick as we possibly can. And I am going to start with dun 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 dun. Miles Thompson.
This is really hard. I didn't actually number mine, but I can put them in
mine
order.
aren't in any ranked order.
I can put them in order ish. But they are quite interchangeable. I also had way more than 10, so I'm just gonna have to pick out for my list because I couldn't decide.
Oh, I said 10.
I know,
also
but
have more than 10 and I didn't number them because I don't make the rules.
How is it pick 10 but you've got more than?
It's really difficult, Greg. I had 40 billion arguments of myself.
I'll do a million times, don't exaggerate.
60. 60 arguments with myself.
Yeah, Ross is going to make some. I've got a nice sofa to lie down on while you two conflab about what number 10 is.
To be fair, I've got mine in a rough order. So I'll start with Hades because I think that's a pretty good one to start with. Do I need to talk about it, or are we just saying what we would do?
Just give a why you chose it, what it's all.
A Cliff Notes version.
a very succinct synopsis. Yeah. I think Hades is just the art style, the storytelling. It changed roguelites. It made me enjoy a genre that typically I wasn't that into. I think it revolutionized what we can expect from lower budget producers and studios. And it was made with no crunch, none of the bullshit, no microtransactions. And in the last 4 years, I couldn't think of a better game that's come out without any of the extra fluff and problems. And it's just a beauty to play. I played 50, 60 hours of it and I loved every single second. I never got bored. So I think it's brilliant and it deserves to be there.
All right.
Early access really did well for that game, didn't it?
Oh, it kind of just blew it up, didn't it? But it fully deserves it. It was amazing.
Kat, number 10.
You're on mute.
I very quickly just like tend to wand my top 16. So I'm picking Dead by Daylight. I actually didn't make my top 10 at all, and then I realized it was a bit silly not to do it because it's addictive. And the thing is as well, the only reason that I did put it in my favorites is because of the friends and the memories I've made because of that game, not necessarily that game. I think that game has a weird sense of community to it, in the sense of like you can meet people that you've never met before and then end up speaking to them every single day. And that is exactly what has happened with me and Miles. We have met people who we are going to visit in America in about 3 weeks' time because of that game. And I think that says a lot about a game that brings people together from different sides of the world. And actually, it's not a bad game. Like it's a.
I was going to say you hate this game.
I hate it. And
that's why it's the best, Ross.
And that's why it didn't make my top 10 to begin with. But there is something about playing it every day, playing over 2,000 hours, that I can't ignore it. Because I think if I did have it in the top 10, all this bitch does is bang on about Dead by Daylight. So why is it not in the top 10? So I'm going to give it the 10 spot. But yeah.
And you can't tell me there's any game more satisfying to rage quit on.
That's what I mean. Like, there's just something about the game where, like, although it's very repetitive in nature of the actual crux of the game, like you just need to escape. You need to do 5 generators and escape. There's so much depth to it, but it's such simple depth. It's like every game can be completely different. People are going to use different skill sets. People are going to be different parts to play. Some people aren't going to play any part because they're stupid and potatoes. Or some people are going to play most parts. Or you're going to get the people who are like really toxic and you can tell they've had a really shit day and they live in their mum's basement and all they want to do is like torture someone. And so they're going to do it to you. Like there's just so much. And the thing is you can have so many laughs over it. It feels really good to disconnect from. It's really cathartic, really. If anything, it's therapy. So yeah, it was difficult not to mention.
Okay, fair enough. Greg, number 10.
My number 10 is similar to those two with their Dead by Daylight, is Street Fighter 4. I've liked Street Fighter as a kid, but Street Fighter 4 is where I really cut my teeth. And for similar reasons, back in the days of 360s and living with my uncle out the outskirts of Taunton, it was either like trudge an hour into town and spend money on booze, or sit and play Street Fighter with we'd have 4 or 5 man endless lobbies, like Winner Stays On. And you could obviously, it was great because you could watch the matches going on and see how people play. And we had like a rules of etiquette kind of thing. So like no corner spamming. So if someone's, where's my box? So if someone's stuck in a corner, you see it online where people just pummel. And it was like, all right, it's not fun. Like, unless you're on a roll and you're having a good combo, but it was like a, not a set rule kind of thing. But yeah, I put 400 hours into that game before I forgot to transfer my save over to Xbox One, and then we just like drifted apart, stopped playing it. But yeah, it's not really a great story. It's Street Fighter, like it's not got a great story. It doesn't have that emotional impact as some of the other games on my list do. But in terms of games that have had an impact on my life as such, then yeah, Street Fighter 4, because of the community. I haven't had that experience like those two have had with meeting people, like playing outside of it. Because playing ranked Street Fighter matches is fucking, that's a game you want to rage quit on. Because people are dicks. But in terms of friendships existing and people I talk to because of Street Fighter and stuff like that, yeah, just that really. It's in my 10 because of the investment I've put into that game, and I've got 2 Street Fighter tattoos on my chest because of it, of characters I never used to play as a kid, and then by doing random battles, they become 2 of my favorite characters. Obviously, they changed their move sets for Street Fighter 5, which was just bullshit. But like, yeah, I've got 2 personal favorite characters on my chest now because of the amount of time I put into playing those with Street Fighter 4.
I guess it's like such the beauty of your favorite game, isn't it? Because we've all kind of recognized that the games aren't necessarily amazing in story or breadth or depth or visualizing, but it's the meaning to us.
I've got some on here that will make me cry in a bit, don't worry. Or have made me cry.
Yeah, but it's still the meaning to you that's really, really important, whereas somebody else might be, but I think that's really good. And that's why I guess I asked in the Slack, is it our favorite games? Because they're going to mean so many different things. Someone might go, why the fuck is a Purple Dragon your favorite game? Grow up. But that it's the meaning of it. Do you know what I mean? It's the meaning of what it might meant for you when you were playing it back then. And like you were describing, Greg, it's the meaning for you back then and what it's meant to you today.
Yeah, for sure. Number 10 is Final Fantasy VII Remake.
That you did come out like really not anti Final Fantasy, but that did. I remember when you said, "Wow!" Like,
yeah, I hadn't I've got no connection to Final Fantasy at all. And I remember Toby and Greg in particular getting excited about the remake, and I remember getting excited about the remake too. I got caught up in the hype train, most definitely, for Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I didn't know anything about the story. I didn't know really anything about the characters, and I jumped in, and just like Greg said, I fell in love with it instantly. And I think the remake is a testament to just how important that particular game is to just gaming overall, really, because I fell into it. And people say, it does go in twists and turns. The story is told very differently than it was in the original. And there's still it's only a third of it or whatever it is, or a fourth of it. I can't remember. Yeah. And there's so much to love in this, and I am more hyped for Remake 2 than I am for anything else, because I just cannot wait to jump back into that world. And falling for, I finally understand the Aerith thing. I get it now, makes sense. It's been a long time. I know, just through conversations I've had with gamers over the years, I know sort of what happens in this game, but it's not putting me off, because I'm just excited to see how we get there and the reasons behind it and what happens and what comes next. And so yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake for me had to make the top 10, because nothing really impacted me and surprised me as much as that did when it came out. I was so happy with it. So happy with it. All right, then, let's move up to number 9, Miles Thompson.
Sorry, I made a list. So I'm just going into my list to check which one I put as number 9. Mass Effect 2.
Oh.
I remember playing this. I picked it up on a whim. I hadn't played the original Mass Effect. It was an Xbox 360 exclusive at the time. And then when they announced Mass Effect 2 was coming to PlayStation, because I had a PS3, I was like, cool, I'm going to check that out. I had no idea what I was in for, but I spent like 35 hours in my first playthrough doing everything. I talked to every crew member, every opportunity, and it was the first game that I really felt like an investment. And the way it did like the side quests was amazing. We always think of The Witcher 3 and its side quests, but before then, I think Mass Effect potentially did it as one of the best, where each character was fleshed out, had their own backstories, you cared about them. In the final mission, they can just die. You can lose the entire squad and Commander Shepard himself. You can all just die in the ending mission. I thought that was amazing that can happen. And it just really changed how I perceive like storytelling and like an RPG can play. And I think as much as I liked Mass Effect 3, I don't think anything could top Mass Effect 2. I think it just perfectly captured what a role-playing game can be. And it was just, I just fell in love with it. I absolutely adored it. And I played so much of it. I then beat it on Elite to Platinum it. And I just, every time I think back to it, I think that was a fucking awesome game. And I wish I could really experience that for the first time again. So went with that one.
Nice. Good shout. Kat, number 9.
Batman Arkham City.
Yeah.
I think it is the best one. I know a lot of people love Asylum, but for me, I just loved City. I love the mod, love the missions, love the Riddler trophies. I loved all of it. I remember being recommended the Batman games like years before I bought them. And I remember like it was one game where I was like, why the fuck did I not play this earlier? Like everyone was raving, like, you know, like when you just dig your feet into like, no, I'm not going to play the big game that yeah, I think it's great. I don't go so much on the most recent one. I think I wish they'd go back to kind of their own, their kind of OG formula of Asylum and City. It just kind of feels a bit so Batmobile orientated. I was just like, oh, I have to get in this fucking car one more time. Yeah, but I just really loved it. It just felt like you were fully in it, fully immersed. You were actual Batman. The cutscenes are great. Obviously, you've got Hamill. Who's not gonna fucking love that? So yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, City is. Yeah, I prefer City to Asylum as well. I love Arkham City.
Yeah.
It's so funny about the Batmobile, about how everyone wanted Batmobile. Put the Batmobile in Arkham Knight. Put the Batmobile in Arkham Knight. And Rocksteady must have got so pissed off. Like, fucking fine. Just have the whole game with the goddamn Batmobile.
Here's Armored Core.
Yeah. You are the Batmobile, fine, have it. 75% of the game is a shitty shooting mechanic. Go for it.
Yeah. How did the Riddler build tunnels and race courses knowing Batman by the Batmobile? Fucking.
Some of them are massive. They're like bigger than the city as well.
Yeah.
That is literally undermining buildings. Like how? Oh.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Gregory said number 9.
Alex Kidd in Miracle
Oh,
World.
great choice.
Yeah, short and sweet. One of the first games I played when we had Master System. Well, it was one of my first consoles, a Master System 2, and it was built in. I love it, but I hate it. Still never finished it to this day.
Yeah,
I can't even remember how, like, what order to do the Janken game at the start, like the first level.
Yeah,
I've got it on my PS3. I'm too scared to play it. And I know you reviewed the remaster as well, and I kind of want it, but I don't, because I know I'll just be frustrated all over again. I know there's an easy mode to it, but I don't want to cheapen the memory.
I understand. You don't want to go the Infinite Lies mode.
Oh, I kind of do, but that's the problem. I'd just be betraying my 6-year-old self.
Just to say that you've beaten it.
Yeah, it'd be a hollow victory.
It's bloody hard work. Number 9 for me is Tetris Effect. When that game landed, holy shit. And the first time I ever played it was at EGX, and I played it in VR. And that was a freaking experience. If you go back to read Paul's review of the VR version, he gave it a 10 out of 10. I mean, it's a mind-blowing experience. But to sit down in front of my telly, lights off, sound up, playing something like Tetris Effect, which is, if you don't know, is Tetris, nothing more, nothing less, but in this soundscape, in this visual soundscape that kind of you lose yourself in. And that song that was stuck in my head forever and ever and ever is still on my Spotify playlists. And it's a game that I just fully adore. And it's one that I jump into a fair bit when I'm looking for games to play for like 20 minutes. I'll just stick on Tetris Effect. And it's a wonderful experience. And it's a one that I wish I had VR for. So hopefully down the road, I'll pick up another VR and play through it all over again that way. The way I think it's meant to be played in VR, because it's insane. But yeah, Tetris Effect is my number 9. Number 8, Mr. Miles Thompson.
Sorry, I lost him for a second. My next one is Spec Ops: The Line, and I wondered if Greg might have this one on his.
No, but it's a good shout.
I think it's just, for me, if someone said to me, you know, there's one video game story that shows what the medium can do in terms of just pure storytelling, ignoring anything else, Spec Ops: The Line was the one. When I played it, it just blew my mind. There are scientific research papers written about, it's like 3 levels of analysis of like the war, you know, economy in the real world, and how players interact with video games, and how dissociative disorder affects soldiers and all this kind of stuff. And it's just so incredibly well made, where the entire game is built up for one purpose, and that's its narrative. And at the end, there's such a massive payoff of, it's one of the few games that genuinely made me sit back and be like, oh, I'm a fucked up person doing this shit in games. And it does it in such a good way. And I know they'll always have the criticisms of video games, you know, how much autonomy do you realistically have? You're always funneled down a path, but I think it does it the right way, of where it points the finger at you, but where you can't really dispute it because you did play the game. You're the reason that it happened. And I think if anyone can deal with a third-person shooter, I think they should play Spec Ops, because I think it's one of those that shows what war is like. It shows about your role and autonomy and doing awful stuff, but also how we can project how we see, you know, bad things onto other people instead of acknowledging it's us. And it just really stuck with me. I remember just reading up all about dissociative disorder. It taught me, I was doing a psychology degree, and I felt like I learned more playing this game for 5 hours than I did actually in my degree that year, which is kind of testament to how bad my degree might have been. But yeah, it really blew me away, and it totally changed my perspective on like role of autonomy. And whereas BioShock did something with that, I feel like Spec Ops: The Line took it all the way to the extreme and just absolutely nailed it down. And I just adore it. I think it's amazing, and I think people should play it if they do play shooters.
A very good shout. Very good shout. One that's getting a bit lost to time, isn't it? Doesn't seem to be. No one talks about remakes and remasters for Spec Ops: The Line.
Didn't sell, unfortunately. It just didn't sell.
No, I don't think it needs a remaster though.
No, I agree.
It could do with a port, but I don't think it needs.
If they ported it, I'd play it again, happily.
Yeah. It may turn up on this new PlayStation Plus thing. Who knows?
Hopefully, because I'd love to play it again.
Yeah. Kat.
Number 8. Oh, this is my first argument of the of myself. I'm so sorry, Ross, but I did bump Sonic for this one, and I know you won't forgive me, but it's okay. I'll get it back.
I know. I said it's all right. It's okay. Leave it.
I know. I'm so sorry. I know. I'll look at his face. I can't. Anyway, my number. Oh, I can't. Oh, anyway, my number 8 without looking is Don't Starve. It is a wonderful indie game that is a very roguelike. Essentially, you have to. I don't even know how to explain it. You have to survive, but you have to like also manage your hunger. You die in the dark, so you have to get resources, but the resources equals resources. Then enemies come, and then you also start to go insane, and you have to eat things to not go insane. And then every so often, some dogs come and attack your camp, and then bosses come, and then winter hits, and then you have to get more clothes, but you can't get more clothes without venturing out. It's just a fuckery of it's a fuckery of
what an endorsement of a game. It's a fuckery.
But like, it's so amazing, and it's just so interesting. It's so creative. Like, yes, it's annoying when you die on day 82 and you have to start again from the very beginning. There are ways you can get around that though. But yeah, it's just I remember thinking to myself, I'm gonna start a new campaign today. I'm gonna do it. Then I get to winter and I'm like, for fuck's sake. And then once I beat winter, I was like, yeah, beat winter. And then summer comes and it's just the worst. But it's such a creative game. For an indie game, it's done incredibly well. I remember talking about it with Sean on one of the podcasts, and he said that he ended up reviewing it and he really liked it too. I think about it often, and when it came to PS4, was it PS5 or PS4? I was like, I'm going to platinum that game, and it's still to date one of my rarest platinums, and I've got one of the characters in my car. I fucking love that game. It's great.
Nice. Gregory.
Turtles in Time on the SNES.
Oh, great shout. God damn.
I don't know where my copy came from, but I played it to death as a kid. I don't know where my copy is. I don't know if it's in the attic at my mum's house. I've no idea. It's lost in time, funny enough. But I don't know where it is. And I see that CEX are selling a second-hand copy for like 90 quid in the store. And I was like, no. Also, it's coming out on that Cowabunga collection, so I'm looking forward to that. The 360 version, Reshell, did it dirty. It cut too much content. They try to make it like the arcade version. I know there's different levels in either, but it just wasn't right. That's an example of remaking gone wrong. Yeah, Turtles in Time is a great game, and I've actually, you can see my vinyl behind me. I've actually got the Turtles in Time soundtrack on vinyl. That's how cool it is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Number 8 for me is Halo Combat Evolved, the very first Halo.
Nice.
A lot of my options you aren't going to be surprised by, but yeah, this is probably the first one. Yeah, it's just it just harks back to memories as a kid playing Halo with my mates. You know, getting all of us getting Xboxes, having just sleepovers playing Halo absolutely relentlessly over and over and over and over again. Learning all the secret pathways in Blood Gulch and just having an absolutely great time. And Halo Combat Evolved has not aged well. The Master Chief Collection version is testament to that. It's a pain in the dick to play, but God, it's all about those multiplayer memories for that one. And it's a cracking game. Number 7, Miles Thompson.
Dead Space 2.
Dead Space 2.
I love survival horror, but I felt like I absolutely adored Dead Space 1. It was one of those really surprising games a friend lent me because I wasn't willing to commit to buying it. And I played it and I was honestly gobsmacked at how good it was. And it was genuinely fucking scary in places. Like the Ishimura is a horrifying place to visit in a game. But Dead Space 2, they got the bigger budget and they took all of their ideas and blew them up to, 20,000 times more. And the reason that I've got it on here is because I did it on hardcore, where you get 3 saves and you do it on the hardest difficulty. And I finished it. I know. And it's still, to this day, one of my proudest gaming achievements that I managed to do that. And I still remember it because at the very end, you do a sequence where you've got to reach the ship and there's bits of debris floating towards you and you have to dodge them all. And I swear to God, I hit one of these pieces of debris and the game took pity on me and didn't kill me and let me finish it. And for that reason, I'll always remember it as being whoever developed that, the dev must have been kind. But it's just an incredibly atmospheric, awesome shooter and survival game. And although it's less focused on the survivalist element, you never feel like you are safe. You're always constantly being bombarded with enemies. The necromorphs are awesome as an enemy design, and the level structure, the use of different things, the lighting was incredible for its age. If you go back and look at it now, it still looks amazing, and it's testament to the art direction and the design of the game itself. And I think it stands up 10 however many years later, and there's a reason for that. And I just don't think that was a peak period of survival horror games, that kind of period of time. And yeah, I think Dead Space 2 really nailed it. And I think one of my favorites that I've ever played, to be honest.
I've always been too scared. Honestly, I've been too scared to play Dead Space.
It's so good.
I might. I mean, I know the remake is a way off, but I think that might be. I might jump into that.
I'm
so
it's
excited.
been bumped, doesn't it, for next year now?
Yeah, bit older now, so we'll see.
Maybe you can cope with it then.
Maybe. Kat, number 7.
My number 7 is Detroit Become Human. I couldn't put it down, and then I couldn't put it down because it kept crashing on me, and I was determined to get the platinum, so I actually ended up finishing it 7 times.
You had the worst experience with this ever.
Honestly,
I did it in 3 playthroughs.
Honestly, I think I did it in 7 because it kept blue screening at a similar point, and I was fucking livid. So, and I was determined. It was determination and perseverance, but also I wouldn't have done it for a game that I didn't love. I wanted to see, and it's very rare for me where a game has multiple different endings, and I want to see every ending, and I want to experience every ending as opposed to just watching them on YouTube. I could have easily watched every ending on YouTube, but there was something about that game where I was it really makes you feel like you can really immerse yourself into each character and kind of morally make that decision of Carl, of this, of that, and it really does tap in and invoke that emotion out of you. That first scene with Kara where the kid, I can't remember what the kid's name is being abused. What, holy fuck shit. I'm just Jesus Christ, this is supposed to be a nice game about robots. I'm not supposed to be intervening in anyone beating the shit out of anyone. Yeah, and the acting is amazing. It's just a great game that I think I love any game with any kind of decision making involved. I do get horrific choice paralysis, but I think that's the beauty, isn't it? Is it and that's why I like Life is Strange. Life is Strange isn't on my list, and I guess this kind of replaces the Life is Strange genre for me. But I really like that game, and I really hope that they do bring out some sort of sequel, even if it's not the Detroit sequel, but a London sequel or a I don't know, San Francisco sequel, who fucking knows. But I'd love to see it because I think it was a great story, and I think that they did it so well. The acting, Hank, he's a co-supporting character, but he's one of the best actors in the whole thing. Brian Deckard, who I now know refused to be on the podcast, but I still love you. Yeah, great game. Love it. Couldn't not put that on my list.
I'm Connor, the android sent by Cyberlife. Yeah, I couldn't make it to the end.
Connor!
All of the I sort of respect Detroit Become Human, but the racial undertones and everything, it lost me completely.
The segregation on the bus was so on the nose, wasn't it?
yeah. But yeah, I totally get it. It's it is an experience for sure. Greg.
Zelda: Link to the Past.
Oh,
yeah, that was my first entry, not only into Zelda but also the action adventure kind of gaming. Really, I remember playing it around my uncle's house with a game that's going to come up in a minute, or however long it takes to get to that number. Yeah, it's just, Ocarina of Time always comes up on many as the best Zelda game for what it did for the N64, and rightly so. But for me, Link to the Past just sunk a lot of hours into it, and it's just a great. No. Wind Waker, but
The hero of wind.
I love Wind Waker.
But no, just Link to the Past was what got me into the Zelda games, really, and it's just a memorable game, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 7 for me is The Outer Worlds. This is a game that I expected nothing from. I picked it up on a whim. Did we get a code? I don't think we did. Or did we? I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, I was excited to play an RPG. I wasn't expecting to get so drawn into this story. It was just so much fun. So much fun from beginning to end. I had such a blast playing this game. And The Outer Worlds 2, as we know, we all saw the trailer. The trailer rocked. And it's evidently a long way off, but it's going to be great. And The Outer Worlds, I wasn't expecting it to hit in my top 10, but the more I was trying to work this out this week, it kept coming back to me. I was like, "You got to put The Outer Worlds in." The Outer Worlds was great. So yeah, there it is, The Outer Worlds. God, what an absolute banger! I really want to play it again. It's a shame the DLC wasn't quite as fun as the main story, but the main story itself was just absolutely banging. So yeah, The Outer Worlds. Number 6, Miles.
You actually made me revise my choice for this one. So I originally had Ocarina of Time or Uncharted 2 penciled into the slot. I couldn't decide between them. And you mentioned Final Fantasy, and I doubt anyone's played it. But on the PSP, there was one called Crisis Core, and it was a prequel to Final Fantasy VII. And I played it. I had no experience of Final Fantasy or whatever before. And the reason I was really hyped for the remake and what happens, and minor spoilers, if you haven't played the remake, you might want to not listen to this part. So just ignore the next 2 minutes. Is because they bring back Zack Fair right at the end. And he's the protagonist of Crisis Core. And Crisis Core first brought in the kind of random numbers generator of the turn-based action style, the ATB style of combat that was later brought into the later entries. But it has such a good story, following Zack, and it kind of builds up to the very beginning of Final Fantasy VII, and the ending is just sad as all holy hell. And so when the remake happened and it kind of retcons what happens at the end, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm in for this. I want more of Zack again. So yeah, the more I thought about it, I must have spent hundreds of hours playing it. I played that game on the PSP 3-4 times, and it's a big game. It's not short whatsoever, but it was beautiful. For the PSP, it was absolutely stunning. The story was unbelievably good, and the combat was just really engaging and really fun, and building up to the point where you just be this mega powerhouse, like where you destroy everything. You meet Cloud before he's even Cloud. Like, you get to see why Cloud becomes like he is. When you said Final Fantasy, I was like, shit, I can't not include it. It was just too good a game, and I spent too many hours of my childhood playing it and loving it that I can't not put it in here. And yeah, it was maybe cry at the end, so I had to go in.
Yeah, those are the rules.
That's it. That's how it works.
Kat.
Number 6. What am I on? Number 6. Oh, Pokemon Yellow. Yeah, or red, or blue, depending on which game you played first. I played red first, but I personally prefer having Pikachu follow me around everywhere, because who doesn't want that in life? Who doesn't prefer that to be just there every day? I remember getting so the Game Boy Color was like my first sole console. And so I remember being particularly proud when we went out to the game shop and I was allowed to pick a console, and I was only literally about 5 or 6. I must have been really young because I still lived in Dublin at the time. And I remember like being in the back of this car and being like, I've never been so excited in my whole goddamn life to play this Pokemon game, because PlayStation was my dad's, the PC was my dad's. Like I'd grown up watching him and then playing games, but I fully remember that console being mine, and being like, my dad's not going to get to play this because this is my console. I can have my own time and I can sit next to my dad and play my console. But that's just such a fucking great game. Anyway, you can restart that game as many times as you want, and you can have a completely different kind of game, even though you're following the same kind of linear world, top down, but like you can just have a total different game. And even when it goes back to kind of Pokemon Eevee and you're like reliving it, or Pikachu Go or Eevee Go, or whatever the fuck's called, it's just great. It's just, seeing a Caterpie for the 50,000th time and just going, fuck that, run. There's just so much, there's so many memes about it, there's so many gifs about it. It's iconic for anybody who loves Pokemon and played it in that time. So I couldn't not include Pokepal. Pocket
That's
Monster.
fair. That's fair. I was expecting a Pokemon game, at least one.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
It's the OG one. So
yeah, nice. Greg, number 6.
Mine's a very hipsterish one. It's Suikoden 2 on the PlayStation 1.
Yes.
Yeah. It's it's a sprite-based RPG, not sprite, like a pixel. I don't know, fuck knows. It's an old school RPG by Konami that was released in 2000. I never really heard of the first one. I picked up Suikoden 2 on a random shopping trip into Game when it used to be in the old store in town back in, what must have been Christmas 2000, I suppose. It was sealed on the shelf, 30 quid. Much as I love the game, wish I'd never fucking opened it because I could have, that's a rare collector's item. But yeah, I'm glad I did because it's not the most original stories. It's warring empires and stuff like that. But it's great, and it does hit a few emotional notes that were lost on 14-year-old me, but going back again and retrospectives and stuff, it's really quite well written. And it had a brilliant system where if you had the first one, it took me a few years to get the first one. The old manager of Pink Planet, I was sort of friendly with him because he used to play Skittles. He got some secondhand like rare games in once and went, I've got this Suikoden or whatever it's called, the first one, 15 quid. I was like, fuck, yes, thank you, I'll have that. But number 2, yeah, just when you take a punt on games sometimes and it just becomes one of your favorites, and it's just a very good RPG. And the fact that it was released on the PlayStation 3 digital store back in 2015 was just a godsend because I had to sell my PS1 collection, which I've talked about before. But yeah, it's just it's turn-based RPG. It's like Breath of Fire 3. It's Final Fantasy before they went all action battle system. It's that, but it's great and it looks beautiful as well. And it got marred at first. It got poor reviews because obviously Turn of the Century was 3D. We want big, Final Fantasy 10's coming out, all this kind of shit. Look at like what Final Fantasy 8 and 9 are doing on the PlayStation. And obviously Konami were doing like Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Suikoden, and everyone was going, boo, sprite-based graphics. And now look at those two. Look at Symphony of the Night. How revered is that game, Yeah, just it's a very good RPG.
Yeah, it's not one I've played myself, but I know how much it means to you. So it's you
playing choice. It is not. So you don't want to play it yourself?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I thought you said you want to play it yourself, but I thought you were worried about offending me if you play it. And I was like,
no. Should I have the option? Should it appear on this PlayStation thing? Then yeah, I'm in. I will give it a go for sure.
Yeah.
I know how much you love it, so it's got to be worth a go. Number 6 for me. Sorry, it's Shenmue. Look,
why are you sorry?
Because I know
I've read your piece about why you love Shenmue. Like you shouldn't have to apologize for enjoying something.
I know Shenmue at its foundational core is not a good video game. Okay, I understand this. It's everything around that game that makes it so special and important to me. Like Greg said, there's a whole. Is it still on the site? Hopefully, it is. It didn't. I don't know if it got lost in the Great Crash, but it might still be there. Hopefully. I wrote a whole thing about just before Shenmue 3 came out. I wrote a whole thing about why Shenmue was still important and why it matters and why it was so important when it first came out. And yes, it hasn't aged well at all. Go play Shenmue 1 and 2 now on the PS store, and it's like not great. I didn't love them, but it was still so much fun to retread them because it was those little moments, those incidental moments, like Rio just getting a can out of a machine or stroking a cat. It was just these little things that it's so commonplace now. But back then, my dad would watch me play Shenmue and it would blow his mind that I could go out to a vending machine and just buy a can and just watch him drink it and you go, good. Walk into an arcade and play Space Harrier. It's those little moments that are just so fantastic. And I absolutely adore it. Absolutely adore it. But I know it's not the best, but it hits for me on a very different level. And that's why it's so special to me and important. Okay, we're getting there. Number 5, Miles Thompson.
Sorry, I was checking my thing.
Checking your thing. Mate,
oh,
not on the podcast. Not on the podcast, mate.
Come on, guys. Get your minds out the gutter. Life is Strange. It's fine. It was always going to be on my list somewhere. So yeah, Life is Strange is an interesting one for me because I know objectively as a game, it's not exciting. It's not that kind of, it kind of blurs the lines of what is a game, movie, that kind of weird interaction. We've had these debates about walking simulators and story-driven games over gameplay and that kind of stuff. But I think Life is Strange for me just hit it was a really hard time of my life when I played it. And it was a weird sense of like, I can't even really describe it, but it was like I had the perfect thing that I needed at the time that I needed it. And that's what the game was for me. So I've always got this like really strong attachment to it. And when I played it a couple months back, when they did the remaster, it was like seeing an old friend again. It was like reuniting with someone who just makes you feel good and comfortable and whatever. And obviously I knew how the story played out. I knew most of the main plot points and I could still remember loads of details, but I'd forgotten lots of chunks of it as well. So it was nice to re-experience those almost for the first time again. And I know like, so the dialogue and the writing can be cringy in places, but I find that really endearing about it. I think the game sums up, what it's like to be a teenager, finding your way in life and figuring stuff out. And it's more, fantasy type elements, I think just complement the idea of what we all wish we could do when we're growing up and wishing we could undo mistakes and do things differently and all that kind of stuff. And I just remember getting to the end and just completely being heartbroken at the ending and, the choice that you were given at the end. But it was more the culmination of the whole story and the journey of it for me. Just, it really resonated with me in a strange way. I couldn't really understand why. It's obviously about two teenage girls, going back to school and stuff, but it just really clicked with me in a way that I struggled to actually kind of verbalize to people. But it was just amazing. And it, like I said, it came at just the right time in my life. And I think it's one of those games that will always have that kind of place in my heart that I just love it to death. And the soundtrack is just unbelievably phenomenal. And I just, for that alone, I think it deserves to be on this list because Sid Matters did all the music and wrote it all, and it's just beautiful. And the sections where you get to sit down and just absorb it all in and listen to the music and stuff is, amazing. I absolutely love the game, and I couldn't not put it on my list.
Absolutely. I know how much that game means to you, and it's amazing when a game does that, isn't it? It really is. Yeah, it's great. Kat, number 5.
Number 5 for me was also an argument between this and The Sims, only because I think The Sims is part of every girl's life. Because just the most basic bitches alive, really, aren't they? Fucking love The Sims.
What an intro!
The Sims is not on my list. Instead, I had to replace it with OG Crash Bandicoot, only because I think it is criminal not to mention OG Crash Bandicoot. You can sing the song, you can...
I was just singing it.
Yeah, but do you just go and do... Yeah, and so, and the thing is as well, I think I could, like, I think me and Rossi were saying that you were at work and you were playing the first level, or was it the first level? And me and someone else were like, oh, no, you need to do blah, blah, blah. I could probably do the first level with my fucking eyes shut now because I've played that game so much. And there's, then later on you meet the polar bear and then it's just all lovely. And I remember for Crash 4, I stayed up till midnight on a school night, quote unquote, to play It's About Time because it had been like what felt like 50 years since any kind of proper Crash game had come out. I know they remastered CTR, which I loved, but it wasn't the same. And so having someone who, like Toys for Bob, but seeing what they did at Spyro, I knew it would be exactly like being a kid again. And it was like the image that you have of a nostalgic game actually coming to life because they HD'd it, they've done it in, so Crash OG will always be the one. The noises, the merch, whatever it might be. I cannot deny that has shaped a lot of my childhood. And I guess that is the reason that I fucking love platformers, because my first ever platformer was bloody Crash Bandicoot, and that shit's hard. So my finger dexterity goes to, Activision and Crash.
Thanks, Naughty Dog.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Naughty Dog, for these digits. That was weird. Anyway,
We'll move on. Greg.
Bloodborne.
Yes.
It was the game. It was the game that got me into Soulsborne. Just because someone bought me a second-hand copy for a birthday, and I was like, well, I feel like I should finish it because it would be rude because it was a gift. I got completely lost in the world, the aesthetic. I died a lot. I learned to sort of temper a patience for Soulsborne games and a newfound respect. Still can't do the first one. Played Dark Souls 3, and from that, Sekiro, and I'm still getting stuck on Elden Ring. So yeah, Bloodborne is the game that changed my mind on them. Just much like Hades did with roguelites for Miles and myself. Yeah, Bloodborne's great. And it may look shit running on 30 FPS on the PS5, but it is on Plus if anybody wants to try it.
Yeah, for sure. Number 5 for me is the 10 out of 10 masterpiece. That is What Remains of Edith Finch.
Good shout.
oh, it was going to be your number 1, to be fair.
Yeah, I was expecting that number 1. Like,
I mean, there's nothing like it, is there? It's an absolute masterpiece of exploration, story, narrative being told in such a unique and interesting way. How it connects to the Unfinished Swan, I remember finding that level and being blown away by it. The bath, I'm being down to talk about the bath, but it was just every single moment. I cried my eyes out. I laughed. I cheered and hollered when I beat it because I was just so goddamn amazed by it. And yeah, it's a full-on, absolute legendary, stone cold masterpiece. And anyone who disagrees can go suck a dick. Right. Moving on. Number 4, Miles.
I don't know how to follow that one after that. My next one is Fallout 3.
Did I feel directed at you? Sorry, I didn't mean to feel directed at you, but it was just maybe it felt that way.
I mean, if it wasn't, it should have been, to be fair. Yeah. Me and Kat were like looking at you as you were describing it, like, yes.
I guess we're sucking dicks tonight then. Like,
solid 8 out of 10 game.
No, everyone loves their games for their reasons.
Yeah,
we respect it.
I feel like we just swap perspective. Like, I have it with Life is Strange, and you think that's just badly written, and I have that with Edith Finch, but not badly written. I just don't think it's that good. But yeah, my next one, moving on, is Fallout 3. And I've spoken about this before, but Fallout 3 was the one that showed me just how fucking ridiculous games could be in terms of the size and scope of what I remember watching the pre-release trailers, and it was Todd Howard like talking over this demo of it, and he stepped out of the vault into the world, and I was like, no fucking way. There is no way they can make a game that massive, that impressive, that, choice focused and whatever. And I had to plead with my dad to buy it for me because my mum wouldn't let me play 18 rated games back then. So I sneakily got my dad to watch the trailer and said, oh, would you buy it for me? And he did. So I was lucky. And I remember firing it up, and I played it nonstop from the weekend I got it, from the Friday to the Sunday. And I didn't do anything else except eat for dinner times. And that was it. And I just fell in love with the fucking game. I just absolutely adore the shit out of it. I went straight to Megaton. I interacted with a bunch of people, took on a load of side quests, ignored the main quest for absolutely ages. I got absolutely lost in this world. And who would have thought that a wasteland could have so much life and soul to it? Like, it was just incredible to play. And I know, going back to it now, the gunplay is janky as shit, and doing melee attacks is absolutely worthless and all sorts. And the bugs and the glitches at the time, I must have just been too young to care, but it was atrocious, and I know it was. And then the DLCs came out, and I just snapped them up immediately. I just wanted more. I never wanted that world, that game, that experience to end. And it was the first time a game genuinely just blew my mind as to the size and the scope. And I did like 3 playthroughs of it, making all different decisions. I was an asshole in one of them, and it was amazing because I blew up Megaton and watched it from the flat and saw this just nuclear apocalypse happen right in front of me. And it's just epic. And it's got a mini nuke launcher in the game. You can literally just go and nuke anything that annoys you, a companion or someone makes a comment, turn around and nuke them. It's fine. It's just so good.
That's the dream, isn't it? That's the dream.
It is. Like, what more could you want in a game? And as much as I liked New Vegas, Fallout 4, I didn't appreciate as much, but I'll always have Fallout 3. And for me, I'm quite happy with that. I don't need the Skyrims or, the Fallout 4s or whatever. Fallout 3 was enough for me.
Yeah, that's Todd Howard. We're done. Just leave it. We're fine. Don't need any more.
I mean, Fallout 76 is a joke, so
Cat number 4.
Number 4 for me is Baldur's Gate 2. For me, that was my first. I was only about 10 when I started playing that. And well, I say 10. It was really, I was my dad's assistant on it, and then I played it for myself. It was my first, I guess, like entry into RPG, and I've never had an experience like that since. I don't think any other game has managed to pull it off. I am both excited and devastated that Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out, because the excitement is real, but the fact that they've changed so much of the OG formula, like they're making it turn-based, they're doing a lot of the stuff because it's from the same people as Divinity Sin. That makes me sad, but I guess I'm hoping that I'll still love it. But with Baldur's Gate, it's like the game is hundreds of hours long, and I've never had the same game twice. I've probably restarted that game well into the like double digits, and I've never had the same team twice. I've never made the same decisions, and there are areas that I've never been to. It is not possible for you to be able to absolutely explore everywhere, because there are like locations that will kick you out if you're not the right class. Like, it is just such an incredible game for a game that was made in the fucking whenever it was made, late 90s, noughties, to have that much depth and breadth. Yes, it probably wouldn't hold up looking amazing now, but I only played it, I replayed it back in uni with a friend, and that was just so much fun, because it even allowed you to kind of, whatever that word, Atlanta flipping friends, and it was just, yeah, it was really, really cool. And I don't think I'll ever, like, I love RPG for that. That's like, it's made by Dungeons and Dragons, that's, smelly nerds. But yeah, so that's mine, and yeah, I love it. I would play it 100 times more, and that's why it's so high on my list.
Amazing. Wasn't it a Baldur's game?
You should definitely. So the thing is, I think if anybody played it now without not knowing it, they probably wouldn't like it, because there are such. But this game is just so, it doesn't give you any clues. It doesn't tell you fuck all. It doesn't tell you where anything on the map is. It doesn't tell you where you need to go or what you need to do. It has like a logbook, and that's your path. Whatever you do next is up to you. But then sometimes you can be hours and hours and hours in, and you don't have one key, and then you're like, fuck, that's all the way back there, and I have to redo it. But it's amazing.
Okay. All right.
Get your beast on it.
Greg.
Was it my go?
Yeah.
Another hipster choice. It's a SNES game called Illusion of Time. It came out similar to Zelda.
That's such a fucking shout.
What, Illusion of Time?
Yeah, such a good game.
Yeah, beautiful game. I again played it because my uncle had it, and he ended up giving me his copy of it. It's an action-based RPG. Well, no, sorry, it's an action-adventure game with RPG elements as such. I didn't realize as a kid, but when you go through an area, if you kill all the enemies in the room, you then get a stat boost. So it'd be attack or defense, that kind of thing. Obviously, if you don't get anything. So if you just run through areas, not killing, you don't do it every time you clear it. It's only the first time you clear a room. So yeah, I remember being like really weak come the end game of it. And the story's good. It's got like real world locations set around like a mythical story, and you're learning about things like the Wall of China, Angkor Wat, the Incan temples, stuff like that. But then replaying it as an adult, I realized just how well written the story is. It's Enix before Square Enix merged, and obviously they did all Dragon Quest and stuff like that. But it's a beautiful story, and it made me well up at one point, because I was like, wow, fuck. Like, when there's a bit, I'm going to spoil it because it's a 25-year-old longer game, but there's a bit where there's a pig that sacrifices himself by walking into a fire. Like, an actual pet pig just walks into the fire, and obviously being a SNES like sprite, it's just like, it's like, the pig's on fire. When you're an adult and you think, wow, that's like a noble sacrifice made by a pet and stuff like that. And it's it sounds ridiculous explaining it, but that's not the bit that made me well up. But there's other parts in there. And there's a particular screenshot I love that's got the quote like that says, like, I'll burn you into my memory. And I'm just like, wow, that's well written for a SNES game, which I know is damning with fine praise. But yeah, if anyone's got a chance to play it on emulation, then yeah, Illusion of Time, or Illusion of Gaia as it's called in America. But yeah, it's cracking. And it's got the best save room music ever, because when you save it, you speak to the guy who's like the person guiding you on the path, the force guiding you on the path, and you save the game, and it's like, do you want to continue? If you say no, you just enter like a sleep state in the save room, and it just plays this beautiful music. I'll put it in the Slack later on. But yeah, it's calming. And yeah, it's just one of my favorite games. I've still got my SNES copy up on my shelfie thing, and the instruction manual. I got 2 copies of the instruction manual, one with a cover, one without. Don't ask me why. No box. But yeah, cracking game.
We're going to need a tour of all of your games at some point.
It's not really that. I mean, I'll tell you what.
Just a visual tour.
I'll take a picture now and I'll put it in the Slack. It's not massive, but yeah. Yeah, that's number 4. Carry on.
Number 4 for me, I knew I wanted an N64 game in there somewhere. The problem with N64 games is all the consoles games that don't age well, the N64 games have probably aged worse than every other console. But then I started thinking about Zelda, and I'm going to go mainstream and say Ocarina of Time, because that was a game I wanted so badly that I started mowing freaking lawns. I started shoveling snow at Christmas. I wanted it so bad. I remember the gold cartridge that it came on. It was absolutely amazing. But it's all about running into Hyrule Field for the very first time, having that entire space open up to you, finding Epona for the first time, and just tearing it across Hyrule Field. On my N64, I've never seen anything like it at the time, and it was unbelievable. And it was the first RPG that I ever completed, because I loved it so much. I remember getting very frustrated with the water temple, so much so that I broke my bed. Actually, I was like just damming it so hard. I was only like 12 or 13, but I was so frustrated. But yeah, once the water temple finished, I mean, and the end game started to open up, it was just astonishing. And I think it rightly sits among kind of the big lists of like the most important games of all time. And there's a reason for that, because it's fucking awesome. So yeah, there we are. Number 3, Miles Thompson.
Greg's already said it. Bloodborne. It was same as Greg. It was the one that got me into Souls games. I had to take a month-long break when I got to Father Gascoigne, because he fucked me up so badly the first time I tried to beat him. And then I went back to it, and I didn't do anything else. I didn't touch any other game. I didn't play anything else. I didn't think about anything else. I almost ignored some of my uni work while I was playing it. And it was just so good. I just got so enraptured in the world. I watched dozens of videos of all the lore and the backstory and the understanding of all the endings, and the boss design is just unbelievable. Like, it's some of the best boss design I think in any game ever, full stop. I just think aesthetically the whole Lovecraftian thing is captured probably better than I think most games or most medium can do it. And the idea of using like insight so that you start to see even crazier shit. The more you play, the more insight that you find and don't spend. And there's just so many levels to it. The quest design, all the characters you can interact with, the PvP elements. You know, it's one of the few Souls games I've actually done it without summoning anyone, even cooperative partners or the NPCs or anything. And it was just, yeah, I still remember being stuck in the Chalice dungeon fighting the old watchdog for an entire day and a half because I just couldn't beat it, because it halves your health and one hit kills you. And it was just disgustingly hard, but I just loved every second of it. And when I finally beat it, it was one of the most elated feelings I've had in a video game. So yeah, as far as FromSoft goes, I thought about swapping it for Sekiro because Greg said Bloodborne, but I couldn't look past the fact that Bloodborne was the one that got me into it, and I still revere it the most to this day. So yeah, Bloodborne.
I'm being such a dick about that, but if and when Bloodborne gets a 60 FPS patch on PS5, yeah, I will be jumping in and I'll be summoning you and we'll do it together. God damn it.
Oh, I would fucking love that. I would happily play through that game again. It was just, it's so good.
Kat, number 3.
I think I get a bit predictable from here on out. So my number 3 is Horizon Zero Dawn. If I had to pick one, it's going to be the first one. I mean, what can I say? It's a fucking great game.
Right, moving on.
Literally the end. Like, I mean, I don't know what to say. There's too much to say, isn't there? I get it's really criticized lately for being boring, and I'm like, excuse you? There are robot dinosaurs in like the future and colonies that need to exist because of the robot dinosaurs. Like, come on now, what's boring about that? But also, like, visually, I don't know who Gorilla have hired. I don't know what kind of stuff. They must be paying them a lot of money because no game looks like that. No game looks like the way that Forbidden West does. And people are like, but Elden Ring's so pretty. No. Compare them side by side. Like, yeah. I know I've got a lot of controversy. I can hear the voices in my mind. What? It's incredible though. I mean, it's everything that you want an open world adventure. It's not an RPG. Why is it being listed as an RPG? Well, there's that debate going on as well. But it's an incredible open world action adventure game. Yeah, and she's badass as fuck. She's one of the kind of titular characters of the PlayStation now. So long live Aloy.
All hell Aloy.
Yes.
Greg, number three.
Number three. I've lost my list. Number 3 is Shadow of the Colossus.
That's a great choice.
Original or remake?
Well, the original for what it did, and then the remake for just improving on it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it comes up in the whole game versus art thing. Blah blah blah. I just thought it was incredible. Back on the PS2, the PS3 version is inferior because they added like unnecessary challenge to it, like the grip meter. Blah blah blah. So don't play that version. Yeah, just at the time I knew about Ico, didn't really play it. Was working in Game Station. Shadow of the Colossus came in, bought it on a whim. I think I played it in 2 nights. It takes a while to get used to the concept of you are just free roaming. You're not free roaming, you've got a direction to go to, but yeah, you are set out in the world, go find the big thing. And it takes you a while to find the big thing. Not all the big things are big things, some of them are small things. And then there's giant fucking flying horseback snake battle, like flying battles. Music's amazing. Again, I've got the soundtrack on vinyl because I had to have it. And then when they announced the PS4 remake from Bluepoint, and I just thought, no, how can they do that? And it's fucking incredible. It looks beautiful, and it runs at 60 FPS, and you can have performance and enhancement modes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, if anyone hasn't played it, play it. I don't want to say any more. I don't want to talk about the ending because by saying that implies there's something about the ending. But no, it's just a fantastic and beautiful game, and it's just great to get lost and wander around as Wanda.
Yeah, it sure is. It's a wonderful experience. One that I didn't play until the remake, but it was it was incredible.
Well, imagine that like back in 2006.
Yeah, way ahead of its time. I would imagine.
Yeah,
for sure.
It just seemed Last Guardian was a bit weak.
Yeah, that was
I think the bar was set from Shadow though.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. Number 3 for me, we've already talked about it, but Tales from the Borderlands. It's just a stunning achievement, and can't wait for the sequel. Miles, number 2.
Fair enough. Can't really argue with Tales, to be honest. My next one is Nier Automata. I've spoken about it a couple times on the pods, but
I'm glad you said automata, not automata. Fuck no.
Yeah, I know. I don't feel like it sounds quite right if you say automata, so I'm always like, no. This was a game that, like, you kind of said it earlier, Greg, one that you just bought on a whim, just because you'd heard something about it and just decided to give it a go. And that's what this game was. I saw it on a sale. It hadn't dropped in price for ages. And I thought, fuck it, 30 quid. That's the lowest it's been in like years. I'll take it. And I remember like starting up and starting to play it. And I was like, this is fun, but I don't get it. And then I came across, if you've played it, obviously you get to like the desert area, you go into the massive complex and you fight the first boss where it's just this naked android, like weird looking thing. And I was like, what the fuck's going on now? Like, what the hell's happening? And then I was sucked in, and that was it. Like after that point, I was like, right, I'm invested. I don't know what's going on here. And then I got to the amusement park, and the music kicked in, and I was like, this is great. I can tell I'm in for like an incredible experience with this.
I couldn't get into it, but I know people like Toby's your man to talk to about it. He sold me his copy. It just didn't gel with me, but I can appreciate what it did.
Yeah, it takes like the initial few hours feel strange because it's so weird in a way, but it's kind of purposeful like that. And then once you finish your first playthrough, you then start your second, then you realize there's a third, there's 28 or something, I think, endings, but some of them are quite short, like snappy things. You just do stupid things. Like if you start the second playthrough and just run off in the other direction, the game's like, oh, the character ran off and didn't bother to help the other character. So the game ended, and it's like, okay, cool.
I like the ending that you can pull out your own GPU.
Yeah. Yeah. So you do the upgrades via like implanting chips in yourself, and you can just take out your core processing unit and you just die. Like that's an ending.
Was there a trophy for it? Just an ending? I can't remember.
No, you had to do all the endings.
I just remember doing it like, it's not going to end the game. Oh, I've ended the game.
It does, yeah. But the best thing about it is the narrative of it. So it's obviously done over the course of 3 campaigns. And each time you go into the second and third one, you get more pieces of the puzzle. You get a whole sense of what's happening. And it's so complex, but in a quite a followable way. and it just touches on like loads of themes of like humanity, what it is to be alive, what it is to be, existing, and all that kind of stuff. And it genuinely evokes some really strong emotional stuff through means that you just wouldn't expect. And again, I mentioned Life is Strange for its soundtrack, but I think Nier Automata is probably my favorite video game soundtrack ever. And the combat's obviously Platinum Games, so you can't lose on that one either. You get like this little robot that follows you around. It can fire lasers and rockets and whatever you want. And at the end of the game, you can even sacrifice your own save file to help somebody else complete the final section of the game. So it's just really meta, and I loved it. And it really took me by surprise. And it's one of those games that, I think is an essential play for anyone who can get their hands on it.
Great show. Kat.
Number two. Before I say this, I know this game isn't everything, and I know this game is not amazing. And really, my top 3 is mostly based on impact, as opposed to like, this game is so visually incredible or plays really well. The soundtrack was amazing. No, my second is the Purple fucking Dragon, but I think but I don't think everybody has a starting point. And I think that the reason the Purple Dragon is second is because I wouldn't be still, and the same to go with my first as well, is that I wouldn't be in love with games if I hadn't have played them. And so they have to go at the top, regardless of what comes out in the future. Those will likely, my top 2 will always probably stay my top 2, because that's the reason that I am in love with games today. And that's the reason. And I remember Spyro, like I said, my PlayStation was my dad's, but Spyro was the first game I owned. That was mine, that I got to play, separate to watching my dad play or shoot things or do the platform. And Crash was his. Sonic was Sonic. What we just said, Tomb Raider was his. Grand Theft Auto number 1 was his. And so I got Spyro, and I was like, and I remember thinking, I'm not bad at games. I could do this. I fucking love this. I could sit here all day and just collect gems, and I could do this. And that's how it starts. Everyone has a story, and that fucking dumbass dragon's mine. So yeah, you can't just dump that out of your list. So that'll always be there. He's a little cemented dragon that's and there's nothing amazing about the game. It's not mind breaking. It hasn't got a fantastic twist. It's not a film. It's not even an animated series, but it still pops up in games today. There's still people who are absolutely diehard fans, and it's likely not because of the gameplay. It's because of the impact it had on them as children. And I think you should always bring that with you. You can't just, like Greg was saying, on his number 8, it's not necessarily the game, it's the impact that it has on you. And yeah, that's just good to acknowledge. So bug up Spyro, because that's my number 2.
It was only a matter of time. Greg, number 2.
Metal Gear Solid 3.
Oh,
just upset Miles by the looks of it. It's my personal favorite, just because 1 was mind-blowing, 2 was wacky bananas story-wise, and 3 just really grounded it, made it the pseudo open world / corridor gameplay that we knew before it made that big switch from like Code Walker and Peace Walker to 5. Yeah, it's just cracking. Like, it revolutionized stealth gameplay by having like the whole camo index. The fact that it missed me by the first time. Remember the PS2 had like the pressure sensitive buttons? Mm-hmm. Didn't realize the D-pad did as well. So obviously, I think I'm sneaking up to people with the thumbstick, tippy-toeing, and it's not. You've actually got to hold the D-pad to walk even slower to minimize the footstep noise. Took me a while to figure it out. And then, of course, they brought out a subsistence version, which made the camera angle from sort of top down that you could free roam the camera, as we now expect in a lot of third-person shooters. But it wasn't revolutionized in Metal Gear Solid 3, but it was a massive, massive boost to being able to see how much detail that Kojima and Konami put into that game that you never saw the first time, because it was top down. Obviously, you go first person. But yeah, just it really brought out like the auteur in Kojima, just the detail that he puts in his games. And the story is still Metal Gear Solid bananas, but it's like right bananas. So it's not too over the top. It's not like fucking completely asinine like some of the plot threads are in that series. It's great, and it's got some of the best cutscenes ever. And I think Miles is probably going to have this on his next thing as well. So he's going to carry on with that. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid 3. It's my favorite one of the series. I put more time into Metal Gear Solid 5, but Metal Gear Solid 3 was what really just brought it back for me.
Right. Yeah. I've had a feeling Metal Gear will be on there somewhere for you.
Yeah.
Nice. My number 2, I think my 1 and 2 are very predictable, but my number 2 is of course Night in the Woods. It's just again, it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's a game that hit me harder than any other game has emotionally, mentally. It was something that I couldn't put down from beginning to end, and one that I've played and replayed since on different consoles. I own it on every system I have, and it's something that I just completely adore. And it's purely because I saw myself in the lead character, and that's not something that you can say about a lot of video games. A lot of video games, you want to see yourself as a hero or a legend or something like that, and that's awesome. But like when you ground it, like the way Night in the Woods is, when you see it and you see yourself reflected in a character, I think that's when gaming becomes something almost transcendental. It's something that I wasn't expecting from this game about a anthropomorphic cat who dropped out of college and goes back home. And, I never dropped out of college, but I understand that feeling of returning home with very little, and, with sort of like your tail between your legs, having not succeeded where you thought you were going to. But building up your own legend and a new legend in a completely different way. And that's the beauty and the wonder of Night in the Woods. And it's something that I could write essays on forever. The impact and the meaning behind it for me. It's a magical experience, and it's one that I would cherish forever. And I feel myself actually winning up, so I'm going to move on. Miles, number 1, your favorite game of all goddamn time.
Greg fucking spoiled it, man. You fucking spoiled it. Well, to be fair, I really struggled with this because obviously Metal Gear was going to be my number 1. I just had to decide which one, which was impossible because I love all of them for very different reasons. But I'd narrowed it down to it was going to be 2 or 3. And then I thought, fuck it, I'll go with 3 because it is the most grounded and it is the one that really taught me stuff about like
how to eat snakes.
Yeah. Like how to pull bullets out of your own body and then bandage it, But in fairness, I can easily talk about 2 because 2 was the first one I played, and it was very like, it was at the stage of life where I was starting to realize that the world's not very black and white. So I was still quite young. And I always remember there's a bit in like a codec conversation between Raiden and Snake right towards the end where Raiden's like, oh, but you're the hero. And he's like, there's not a lot of difference between a hero and a madman. And at the time I was like, fuck, what? And I remember going to my dad and being like, I just had this. What do you think? And my dad just laughed and was like, oh, you think that's so deep, don't you? That's cute. And
go read Tolstoy.
And obviously I've been like studying psychology and stuff now. I look at that and I'm like, fucking hell, that's like, not that deep whatsoever, but at the time it started to open my eyes of like what a hero or a terrorist is or whatever. And the whole game centered around this idea of narrative and controlling information and truth. And it's one of those things where I didn't understand half of what was going on, but I picked up points that taught me a lot and that I used to then help understand stuff, And MGS2, I think I played it 15, 16 times. I bought the Substance Edition, played all the extra stories. I did it on every difficulty. I got every dog tag on every difficulty. Like, it was insane. I had so much time as a kid, way too much on the PS2 era. And I just fell in love with it. I can still play it through today. I know where everything is, like where all the collectibles are. And as much as I think MGS3's story is better because, like you talked about, Greg, it's so much more grounded. The ending is just fucking heartbreaking. I cried my eyes out for days at that. And I think the story of the boss and Snake was just incredibly well done. I think that's probably one of the times Kojima's got a female character so right, because he very rarely does. But with the boss, he absolutely nailed that character. And yeah, but I could even say 1. I played MGS1 and it was incredible for its time, what it did, how it revolutionized how you play games and 3D stealth action and all sorts. And it was such a pioneering series. And then when I got Subsistence, I then played hundreds of hours of Metal Gear Online because it was fucking awesome. And it's just everything about those games is unbelievable to me. And it was just at the time of my life where I was figuring stuff out, learning stuff, and those games were part of that. education, I guess, if you will. So I'll always be loyal to Kojima for that reason. And yeah, I think MGS3 is one everyone should play if they pick one, but MGS2 is the one that started it off, and the boss battles are fucking cool. So yeah, I'd go with.
Have you seen that physical copies of Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 have gone up in price now because they've been delisted on digital stores?
Oh, I've still got my MGS1.
I've got my PS3 copy of the Metal Gear Collection.
Yeah, I've still got that.
Which
too.
is the one.
Yeah.
Which is the one that doesn't have Peace Walker, which is really annoying. Yeah, because their logic was because it came out on PSP.
Oh, I think mine does have Peace Walker on it.
Oh, have you got the Legacy Collection?
I don't think so. I think my HD collection did have Peace Walker. I'm pretty sure I played
sorry.
it. I
think it's the Xbox. Go to Cat. I'm going to go and have a look.
He's
I'm just going to double check now.
But yeah, I could have picked any of the Metal Gears, but I just think 3 was the best one. It was my favorite game of all time as a standalone title, but 2, I could quite happily say that one as well. So it was going to be.
Oh wait, I'm talking shit. Yeah, it's on there.
I thought so. I was like, I'm certain I've got loads of trophies on it. I played it loads.
There you go. Kat, your favorite game of all time?
My favorite game of all time is Miss Lara Croft in Tomb Raider. If you want to be really specific, it's the second one. I think Tomb Raider 2 is the best one. Tomb Raider 2, yeah, where you've got Venice, you've got the monastery, you've got the dragon at the end, you've got the Great Wall of China. Like, that's the one that a lot of people talk about. They like the first one's like the one when you start the snow in the mountains, but you know, when you think about OG Tomb Raider, a lot of people say, oh yeah, like traveling the Great Wall of China. That's the second one. And yeah.
Second one, dickhead.
The second one with the fucking dinosaur, the random ass dinosaur in the fucking first, yeah. But that was because it was probably like when you're a kid and you're a girl, you kind of get told that at school boys are going to bully you and boys are going to pick on you, and you know, then you're going to kiss chase or you're going to kicked in the ass, whatever it is. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my god, my dad wants to play a game where the female is a girl. Like, that's really cool. And I remember for World Book Day, and it just had a really profound effect on me. And I remember being so young and being so good at this game that my dad used to bribe me and say, if you can get me past this level, you can stay up. And I was like, fuck yeah. And it's a core memory of me and my dad in Tomb Raider 3 that I got him down to this submarine, and the you know, the middle bit that holds the disc in a console, it flew off, and we didn't have a save diamond, because in Tomb Raider 3 it has the bullshit of save diamonds. Yeah, it's just been such an iconic game for me growing up. I absolutely loved it. I clung to it like putty, sticky tape, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like when you throw, I don't know. I just clung to it like glue. I really did. And I remember in World Book Day, I convinced myself and my parents that because Tomb Raider shows up in magazines, that counts as a book. And I remember my mum saying, okay, you can go as Lara Croft for World Book Day. And I remember me and my mum staying up to gaffer tape water pistols to bring them in year 4. And I, you know, that, like, how's that not anyone's favorite game when you've gone that far? And everyone goes, who the fuck are you? You know, and everyone's dressed as fucking Shrek or Winnie the Pooh. And I'm like, I'm fucking Tomb Raider, and I'm gonna, and people are like, what's that? And I'm like, well, it's this badass game, this badass girl. And it did, like, reading that book, it broke, you know, the genre that the guy is always the hero. And who doesn't want to be kind of behind that forever? He's still in their 30s. I'm excited for the next one. I'm still glad it's going. It's like the female James Bond. They just don't fucking stop. Yeah. And so through impact, but it's also a great game. It's a fucking cool game. They're hard as balls. If you were to go back to the OG ones, they're really hard because they don't tell you what you need to do. Whereas I found the newer ones quite kind of hand-holdy. They're like, oh, you've got this sense where everything lights up gold. In the second one, you're like, now you're going to click a button and then you're going to have 30 seconds, but you don't know it's 30 seconds because there's not even a sound visual, a sound bite or sound clip that tells you, oh, the door that's behind this wall, round the corner in the dark, put the flare on, is closing. How people worked that out by themselves. I mean, I obviously did with my dad, but we wouldn't do that now. We're all we'd all rage quit. We'd all be like, this fucking game is shit. It's not telling me anything. I press this button for nothing. And it's just grown and evolved and become an amazing series and an amazing impact on gaming. So She's my number one.
Give us that Tomb Raider 2 remake, Crystal Dynamics. No, you want to?
Yeah, you do. You do.
All right. Greg.
What other series do I bang on about that I haven't actually mentioned yet?
Let's see. Mario Kart.
That famous, infamous umbrella item in Mario Kart.
Resident Evil.
Which one?
Resident Evil 2.
Oh yeah, of course.
Leon.
Just
I know that's
because.
4, but
Just one was the first game I played on the PlayStation was Resident Evil. Just at a friend's house, didn't realize we weren't supposed to play it, and it was great. And then 2 came out, and everything about it was just so much better. And obviously, when you're about 98, when you're a 12-year-old, it's like the level of gore is amazing. When you can pop heads with the shotgun, which you could do on the first one, yes. But then when you get the enhanced shotgun and you shoot someone in the waist and it separates the two, and you're like, oh, this is cool. You used to be able to speedrun it. You used to be able to do it in just under 2 hours. Leon A's campaign. Can't do it for shit now. I remember when I got a PS Vita and put them on there, I had to look at a guide. But it's just an incredible leap in what a series can do from 1 to 2. And I know it had a revision and it was 1.5 and blah, blah, blah. I just didn't know all about that years ago. Just thought it was the next carry-on continuation of it. And absolutely love it to death. The cheesy voice acting, the ham-fisted, literally trying to, when they're talking, they're all pointing at each other with, Ocarina of Time style hands. It was just incredible. And the fact that they had 2 campaigns per character and the massive switch up in between the 2, which is why I was so excited for the remake. And I don't hold remake in any above or below. I hold them next to each other because it's a take on it rather than a remake. There's things missing. There's that kind of shit, like the fact that the tyrant in the first one didn't appear until scenario B, for example, rather than being a persisting presence throughout you don't know about him the first time you do a campaign A. So when you do Leon A or Claire A, for example, when you start B and then you see it being airdropped in, you're like, oh, this changes things up a little bit. And B was the harder campaign, whereas in the remake it's more of the same. Yeah. Just Resident Evil 2 is just, for me, one of my favorite games because, well, it inspired me to get the tattoo, obviously. It's my favorite game in that series. I love the lore. I was excited for the film, and then I wasn't when I watched it. And obviously, I played a lot of the spin-offs at the time. I was so invested in the Resident Evil lore. I played Gun Survivor, played Outbreak, even though we had no online connectivity over here, which made it suck. I love Code Veronica because of my love for the series, and people always rag on that one. Over the years, my love is I haven't even played Village yet and stuff like that. To me, the series has gone nutterbutters off the rails, but I love the first 4 or 5 main games, 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica, 4. They're collectively because of my love of Resident Evil 2 that made me want to further on that for the series.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm looking forward to playing Resident Evil 2 Remake again when they release the free update for people that have got Resident Evil 2 on PS4.
Yeah, not too far away now, is it?
No.
Yeah, very cool.
I was going to say it'd be nice if we get a review code of that because we got a review code of Resident Evil 2. No, we didn't. I reviewed that though, didn't I? We got Resident Evil 3. We got 3. Yeah. But then I was thinking, it'd be nice to get a code, but then I don't have to worry because I'm going to have the free update anyway. So
you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Exactly. I'm going to be review is more of the same, looks great.
Yep. It's shinier at the end.
Yeah. And yours.
Shocking absolutely no one.
I know what it is.
Sonic 2. Sonic 2 is my favorite game of all time. It's a game that I play at least once a month from beginning to end. I can get it done now. I think 40 minutes is my quickest so far now. Yeah. The first level I've always wanted to match. There's a guy called Justin Tao. Greg will know who this guy is.
I know Justin.
And he's got the Guinness World Record for the Sonic 2 first level for 21 seconds. And I can match it, but I can't beat it. And it's really annoying me. I remember telling him and he was like, oh man, I'm so proud of you because he's such a lovely guy. But yeah, Sonic 2 is it's the first game that I played and completed, really, I think. I'm pretty sure. I just love it. I know it backwards and it's a comfort thing now. It's like if I'm in a bad mood, I'll just whack on Sonic 2 and I'll cheer myself up all over again, exploring the Death Egg and freaking Tails. Tails, man, freaking Tails. Tails is just a legend. And so, yeah, Sonic 2. Is my
How did
favourite.
Fortnite not make that
So
on your top 10?
you probably bought as many different Sonic 2 versions as I have of Resident Evil 4.
For sure, and I'll do it again in June when Sonic Origins comes out. Cannot wait. How did Fortnite not make my top 10? Because it's not a top 10 game. It's not one of my favorite games of all time, I think. It's just a game that I enjoy playing.
Fair.
I understand its limitations, and it's not quite there yet. Yeah, it's gonna have to do something pretty major to come up against the likes of What Remains of Edith Finch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've only played that game like twice, once on PlayStation, once on Xbox, but it has a resounding effect on me. But I wouldn't say it's like something I'd go back to. But
Yeah. I'm not aching to play Edith Finch again. I felt like that experience was kind of like a one and done, but it was a hell of an experience. Right, well there you go then, ladies and gentlemen. Those are our top 10 video games of all time. Do let us know if you have any of your top 10. If you figured out your top 10, I think these guys were figuring it out as we went tonight, but we got there in the end. That was awesome. It's always great to hear about great games and the reasons why people love them so much. I'm going to finish off very quickly with Out This Week, and then we are out of here. Out this week, April 26th, The Serpent Rogue is coming to PC and PS5. Galactic Civilizations 4 is also coming out. Today. As you're listening to this, because it is going up on the evening that we record. April 27th, Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. That's out tomorrow. What?
Damn.
I didn't know that. I thought that was ages away.
I thought that was like May.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well, there you go. I suppose it is nearly May.
That could be early access. I will double check that. That's interesting. April 28th also sees Bugsnax come to Xbox Series X and Switch.
Fruit salad.
Also, of course, coming to Xbox Game Pass. Rogue Legacy 2 is coming to Switch and Xbox Series X. If you haven't played Rogue Legacy, go and do it. It's awesome. Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1 is coming to PS4, but not to Xbox One. It's been cancelled for Xbox One. They announced that this week because they can't get it to run on the OG Xbox One, which is something that they've just openly admitted, which is kind of wild. April 28th, I was begging for this and I didn't know it was happening. The House of the Dead remake is coming to PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation. It was originally on Switch just for a week or two, I think. But yeah, if you want to get back into House of the Dead, now is your chance. It's coming to every system. And of course, April 29th sees the release of Nintendo Switch Sports, which is the brand new Wii Sports type thing that's coming to Switch. And it looks pretty good. And we do have a preview of that game, weirdly, on the 150th episode of the Finger Guns Podcast. So if you do want to check that out, Chris Scullion was on the podcast talking about that. So head back if you want to see what he thinks of it so far. But yeah, that's it. Thank you all very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, you can follow us absolutely everywhere. Just go to the link tree in the description below to find us in all the places. If you really like what we do, want to follow our Patreon for $1 a month, you can keep this podcast live on its various podcast hosting services and keep the website nice and shiny. But until then, it is goodbye from Loft in Softlock.
Laters.
It is goodbye from In Miles' Nightmare.
See you later.
It is goodbye from Greg Bourne.
Bye.
And it's goodbye from me. I've been Rossko. We'll see you next time on the Finger Guns Podcast. Bye.